The story is about the journey of the female lead, Lam Lin, to find her disaster-prone witch mother who ran away from her debts. However, she didn't expect that her mother had used her as collateral for a debt to the third prince of a certain country in the other world, forcing her to become his little attendant. Initially, in Lam Lin's eyes, Ka Lai was an extremely detestable pervert, but gradually she began to see the good sides hidden deep within him. The two made an agreement. Lam Lin would protect Ka Lai and help him become king, and Ka Lai would return the key for Lam Lin to return to her world. What is about to happen on Lam Lin's journey? And will their agreement go smoothly? Hey, let's watch with Sun. I never thought that after meeting him, my destiny would be turned completely upside down like this. At a certain high school, the gymnasium was incredibly lively. Cheers a go-go echoed continuously from the stands. On the court, a female student's confident voice rang out. 5 seconds left on the clock. The last ball is up to you, Lam Lin. Lam Lin jumped, stretching toward the ball. My life is like this soaring ball, leaping with all my might, aiming with full force, achieving the goal. Lam Lin hit the ball, and it landed on the opponent's side of the court. Immediately after, the referee's whistle blew. Time's up. The red team wins. Lam Lin bent her knees slightly, wiping the sweat from her face with the back of her hand, panting from exhaustion. After hearing the referee's announcement, several female students came over to surround Lam Lin, laughing happily. That was great, we won. After school, many classmates stuffed a bunch of gifts into Lam Lin's arms, cheering joyfully. Lam Lin, happy 18th birthday, happy birthday. Lam Lin received an armful of gifts, unable to hold them all, and hurriedly said, "Oh, wait a minute. Thank you, everyone." Her friends were very enthusiastic with her, our little angel. Hey, let's go to the karaoke bar tonight and have a blast. Everyone come along. Lam Lin smiled and agreed. Okay. At that moment, a male student in the crowd spoke to the person in front of him. Hey, to-do, we're planning to celebrate Lam Lin's birthday tonight. Are you coming? The male student had silky hair, was tall with long legs, and a somewhat cold face. Hearing the invitation, his eyes looked up from his phone, first stunned, then he looked towards Lam Lin and suddenly agreed. Okay. Lam Lin faced to-do, blushing slightly. My crush, he agreed. And the other male student, hearing to-do agree, came over to tease him. I'm telling you, kid, normally when I ask you to join these gatherings, aren't you always uninterested? Why are you interested this time? Are you up to something? Hearing this, to-do's delicate face suddenly flushed red, and he feigned confusion with a huh. And over here, Lam Lin was smiling happily, her eyes crinkling. All-around athlete, excellent grades, loved by everyone, surrounded by people. Even my crush is a crush on me. A life like this is truly a ha-ha. Lam Lin happily treated herself to a can of juice, her eyes filled with infatuation. She excitedly carried her birthday gifts, her steps light and bouncy, showing off with a few twirls, joyfully exclaiming, I must have saved the entire galaxy in my past life to have such good luck today. I have a feeling today will be the best birthday ever. A while later, Lam Lin arrived home. She turned the key to open the door, singing as she changed her shoes. The normally quiet house suddenly had some kind of whooshing sound. Lam Lin looked over, calling out vaguely, Mom, why are you home so early today? Is it to celebrate my birthday too? As she spoke, Lam Lin walked forward, a smile on her lips, until she saw the disastrous scene inside the house. Lam Lin was stunned. The living room looked like it had just been ransacked. Everything was shattered and scattered all over the house, looking no different from a dead rat's nest. The wind was blowing fiercely, in perfect harmony with nature. The smile on Lam Lin's face froze, until a leaf fell from above. She looked up, then screamed in horror. What is this? Her beautiful house, her cozy home, was now no different from slum, exposed to the elements. The thought of having to sleep like this tonight made Lam Lin's face turn pale. She panicked and collapsed, holding her head, imagining 1,000 scenarios. A burglary? No, that's not right. Why would a thief enter through the roof and make such a big hole? Was it a raid? While Lam Lin was still trembling, a stack of letters fell from above, right in front of her. Lam Lin picked it up. It was addressed to her. Lam Lin was momentarily stunned. Right, how could I forget? Having such a happy life is also thanks to me always keeping that secret. And that secret is that my mom is a witch. As described in fairy tales, she can borrow the power of spirits elves, ghosts, and demons. She is the one who casts wonderful blessings, and also the one who lays terrible curses. I heard her power is extremely formidable, but in my memory, she's basically someone who's nowhere to be found when good things happen, but is always there for mishaps, causing quite a bit of trouble. For example, the time she carelessly burned the food, causing both of us to eat instant noodles for dinner, or the time she was careless at work, blew up the shop, and got fired, but this time, blowing up the whole house is really too much. The more she thought, the more Lam Lin's face scrunched up in displeasure. She aggressively tore open the letter, but before she could even open it, it escaped her hand and floated in the air. The letter emitted a mysterious light, then opened by itself and magically transformed into a witch-shaped paper cutout. It carried the consciousness of Lam Lin's mother and could also speak. "Hello, little Lin. It's your mom. How are you today?" Lam Lin's anger exploded as she faced the troublemaker. She angrily swung her hand, slapping the paper cutout like swatting a mosquito, venting her anger. "Mom still dares to speak. I was fine before I walked in the door. Look what you've done to the house." After attacking for a while, her right hand swollen, Lam Lin finally stopped, and the paper cutout was also crumpled by her. Her mother spoke up. Sorry, don't be angry. I have something to tell you." Lam Lin was dejected. "If you have something to say it quickly. No matter what you say now, I don't think it could be any worse than this." That's right, because her mother was about to say something even more terrible. Actually, it's still manageable. It's just that mom was taken away because of high-interest loan. Lam Lin froze upon hearing this, looking at the paper cutout with disgust, then pounced like a fierce tiger, grabbing it tightly, questioning aggressively. "What? How is this manageable? Where did you get a high-interest loan?" "No, wait. Why would you want to take out a high-interest loan?" The magic letter said urgently, "Be careful with your spit. Listen to me. Actually, right from when you were born, for various reasons, so I secretly borrowed some money from the other side. I didn't expect to still be found after so long." Lam Lin's tone was full of disgust. "So you came to live on this side, to run from debt?" Her mother immediately denied it. "Don't say that." Lam Lin was a little worried. "So where are you right now?" Her mother answered honestly, "I'm being taken back to the other world now. In short, I can only rely on you now. Go back to the other world, find a person with a mark like this, he will help you." A piece of paper flew up with a golden light. On it was a strange mark. Lam Lin was about to reach for it, but before she could touch it, it spontaneously caught fire. Then it turned into red characters that snaked towards Lam Lin's finger, creating an identical mark on her finger. As soon as Lam Lin saw it, she felt uncomfortable. She annoyedly wiped and scrubbed it. "What is this? It won't even wipe off." At this moment, her mother spoke again. "Follow the map that came with the letter to find the entrance to return." Seeing the light fading, Lam Lin became anxious. "Wait, you're so powerful. You can come back on your own, right?" Her mother didn't answer her question. "Lam Lin, I'm counting on you. Save me, save me." Her voice grew smaller like the fading light and gradually disappeared before Lam Lin's eyes. Lam Lin sat stunned. Then anger rushed to her head. She muttered and cursed while rummaging through the letter pouch. "Where's the letter? So annoying. Why does this woman always cause trouble?" It wasn't until she opened the map that Lam Lin quieted down a bit. Her eyes widened as she looked at it. This must be the map showing the door connecting to the other world, right? My old mom often told me, this world is like a mirror. If they're the front, there must be a back. Our world is the front, and the other world is like what the old rhymes described, an image reflected in a puddle after the rain, lying on the other side of the small old alley. Not afraid of the dark, offering a wreath to the spirits, then you can reach it. I thought it was a story my old mom made up to trick me. I didn't expect it to be real. Pausing for a moment, Lam Lin remembered again. Didn't my old mom always brag to me about how amazing she was? Even if I don't go to save her, she should be able to get out unscathed, right? I'm just a normal high school student. What can I do? Thinking this, she coldly threw the map away. A moment later, she ate her words, rummaging around to find a tattered witch's hat and tying it around her neck. Her school uniform shirt was tied around her waist, both hands clutching the map, her face full of annoyance. Damn it. After I find that rotten witch, I have to give her a piece of my mind. With that, Lam Lin scurried off, beginning a spectacular rescue mission. After leaving the house, Lam Lin found the first location and had been standing there dumbfounded for about 10 minutes. Lam Lin looked back and forth between the map and the automatic vending machine in front of her. She frowned. Is there some mistake? This is the door for people from the other world? Isn't it just a beat-up old vending machine? After a moment of confusion, Lam Lin decided to risk it. Whatever, this coin is probably meant to be inserted here, right? With that, Lam Lin inserted the coin into the machine's coin slot. Immediately after, Lam Lin, who was standing there, suddenly disappeared without a trace. She had been taken to another world by the machine. Lam Lin was dazed at first, then she started getting sucked into a time vortex and screamed in panic. Hey, hey, hey. A while later, when Lam Lin thought her throat was about to fall out, she finally landed, but not in a very nice spot. She had fallen into a rather sore place. Ouch, it hurts so much. After the pain subsided, Lam Lin looked around again, then continued to be confused. Where is this? Cough, cough. Suddenly, at this moment from outside, some voices were heard. Did you hear something just now? It's probably not a rat, is it? I hate rats the most. Lam Lin looked towards the curtain. Her heart panicked. I'm doomed. There are people. But before she could hide, the curtain was pulled aside. A beautiful witch walked in, her soft voice speaking. Oh my, it turns out to be a little stray cat. Hearing this, Lam Lin sat frozen like a statue, really looking like a stray cat. Two other witches heard this and also poked their heads inside to see a stray cat. Where did this little girl come from? Is she a newcomer? So cute. Lam Lin was completely frozen, not understanding why she was suddenly being gawked at like an animal in a zoo. At this moment, the other witch called out, Hey sir, is this little stray cat the witch you were looking for? Meanwhile, the other two witches started to crowd around Lam Lin. One seemed excited. Hey, what's your name? Where are you from? The other one started to size Lam Lin up, then asked in confusion, but isn't the person the gentleman is looking for a red-haired witch? Lam Lin was overwhelmed. A moment later, when she had calmed down a bit, she looked outside through the curtain. She vaguely saw a young man sitting comfortably on a chair while other witches surrounded him. No matter how you looked at it, he didn't seem like a good person, just a playboy. And he had already seen Lam Lin. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly, saying with amusement, a little stray cat? Lam Lin frowned, looking at him warily. Kalai stood up, striding towards her. He had brownish blonde hair, sharp blue eyes, and a delicate, cold white face. He had an aura that was both cold and untamable. Lam Lin stared at Kalai, mesmerized. She bit her lip. This person's slowly walking towards me. Is he so handsome? Lam Lin blurted this out, her face unable to hide her infatuation. Seeing this, Kalai nonchalantly reminded her, You're drooling, little girl. Lam Lin snapped out of it. Oh no, I accidentally said what I was thinking out loud. Lam Lin blushed with embarrassment, letting out an Kalai looked at her intently, raising an eyebrow. Lam Lin giggled, turning her head and evasively saying, Oh well, may I ask where this place is? Suddenly, Kalai grabbed Lam Lin's chin and pulled it towards him, forcing her eyes to meet his. Lam Lin was momentarily stunned. This person, what does he want to do? And at this moment, Kalai looked at Lam Lin, his eyes scanning her from top to bottom. He began to size her up. Then his rude gaze stopped on Lam Lin's chest. Wonderful, hopeless, as flat as an airport runway. Lam Lin followed Li's gaze, and the image of his lecherous face was already clearly formed in her mind. That creepy smile, you. Immediately after, Lam Lin covered her chest and shouted excitedly, Pervert! The people around were stunned by her voice. Lam Lin was so scared she didn't know what to do next. Her Tang Sanzing falling into a spider den instinct told her that she had to run away immediately. I have something to do. I'll be going now. With that, Lam Lin bolted. Kalai was momentarily stunned, while the witches beside him burst out laughing. A moment later, Kalai looked in the direction Lam Lin had run, pouting with some confusion. At the same time, in a place not far away, after running her heart out, Lam Lin found a hiding spot that she thought was safe. She looked behind her cautiously like a small cat, her lips pressed tightly together. What was that about? Touching me the first time we meet? What a waste of a handsome face. I didn't expect him to be a pervert. While she was busy cursing him, suddenly, a hand appeared out of nowhere and grabbed Lam Lin's arm. She was pulled into a tavern. A drunk man laughed loudly and asked her, How come I've never seen this little girl before? Are you new? Lam Lin looked at him with annoyance, then aggressively pushed the person away. New? What new? With that, she looked around. There were quite a few people here, and witches like her were serving these customers. Lam Lin's face turned pale, letting out a The man started to pull her by the shoulder again, smiling and saying, Come on, Have a drink with us, uncles. Lam Lin jumped, struggling violently. Wait, I'm not an employee here. Let go of me. Listen to what I have to say. While Lam Lin was struggling, a large hand suddenly wrapped around her neck. Ka Li pulled her against his chest. Lam Lin's whole body stiffened. She looked at Ka Li's indifferent face and wondered, did he come to save me? But the man opposite them suddenly saw someone stealing his person and angrily spoke up. Hey, who are you, kid? Ka Li finally turned his attention to the man. He gave a faint smile and replied, me. I want to play with you guys too. Ka Li gave a friendly smile, and the other guys, hearing this, got cocky. What are you acting all dangerous for? A moment later, Ka Li looked down at Lam Lin and continued, and with this young lady here too. Lam Lin glared, gritting her teeth as she looked back at him. I almost forgot this guy is also a pervert, and I actually had hope for him just now. The group quickly got along. The drunk man laughed loudly and enthusiastically put his arm around Ka Li's shoulder. Why didn't you say so earlier? Come on, let's have a drink together. Ha ha ha. Come on, bottoms up, bottoms up. Lam Lin was squashed in the middle, her face gradually becoming distorted and her expression extremely unsightly. I told you I'm not. The other man said cheerfully, Little Witch Lady, quickly perform some magic for us to admire. Lam Lin heard this and lowered her head. Magic? As expected, nothing good ever comes from being involved with magic. Right now, I should be at the best birthday party ever, being blessed by everyone. Why do I have to be dragged around by these drunk uncles here? Suddenly, the man was attracted by something. Little girl, this hairpin doesn't suit you at all. Let Uncle buy you a new one. With that, he reached out to touch the bird-shaped hairpin on Lam Lin's head. Lam Lin suddenly turned her head. She became agitated. Don't touch my hairpin. But as soon as she finished speaking, the pin fell. And immediately after, a huge explosion resounded in the tavern. Things nearby were shattered, and none of the people there could withstand its pressure. The entire tavern was filled with a thick white smoke. The crowd was in a panic. What happened? What's going on? Then suddenly a surprised voice rang out. Look over there. Ka Li heard this and looked up. Then he was stunned by the scene in front of him. Magical sparks were gathering in one direction in the smoke, and that was where Lam Lin was standing. After the explosion, a moment later, Lam Lin slowly opened her eyes. The pressure around her was completely different from before. There was a dangerous scent, and her hair color had also turned red. Lam Lin frowned slightly, looking at the crowd with a cold gaze. Perhaps being used to a normal life, I forgot I have another secret. I also inherited a terrible power, an uncontrollable king of destruction. Seeing everything around her destroyed by her own doing, Lam Lin trembled like a leaf. I'm doomed. An awkward atmosphere descended. Lam Lin looked at everyone. Everyone looked at Lam Lin. She broke out in a cold sweat, swallowing a few gulps of saliva. A moment later, the crowd gradually came to their senses and began to show different expressions. Red hair, red hair. The red-haired one has appeared. Someone shouted. Then the whole crowd ran frantically in the opposite direction. Lam Lin was startled at first, then completely confused. What's going on? Before she could recover, another terrified scream rang out. Oh my God, my shop. How did it become like this? Who did it? The owner's face turned pale. He put a hand to his forehead, looking at the scene before him as if he was about to faint. Lam Lin looked at him, her eyes wide, drenched in sweat, because she was so guilty and also afraid of being caught. She gritted her teeth and decided to run first and figure things out later. Lam Lin bolted, leaving behind the owner's resentful cries. Who is it? I'm going to kill them. Not long after, news of the red-haired, which had spread throughout the town. People on the street were all discussing, hey, have you heard? The red-haired one has appeared. Red hair. Could it be the red-haired witch from back then? With red eyes, red hair as a symbol, along with immense destructive magic. Wherever she goes, blood and gore are sure to follow. Wasn't it rumored that she was already dead before? Why did she suddenly appear? I heard the incident just now was caused by her. Lam Lin, hiding in the alley, heard the entire discussion of the two people outside clearly. Her lips were pressed tightly together, huddled in a corner, shivering from the cold. No wonder those people looked at me like they saw a ghost just now. Mom actually did that here. Thinking this, Lam Lin stood up. She blew on her hands to warm them. I shouldn't stay here long. I have to find her quickly. But just as she looked up, before she could even take a step, she came face to face with Ka Li's handsome face right in front of her. He smiled, looking at her with amusement. We meet again, little stray cat. Hello. Lam Lin's whole body stiffened. Her body automatically went into a fighting stance, preparing to give this pervert a beating when he suddenly covered her mouth tightly. In the small alley, faint light shone in. One of Kali's hands covered Lam Lin's mouth. The other hand locked her body in place. His voice nonchalantly reminded her, "Hey, keep it down. If we get discovered now, it'll be a lot of trouble." Lam Lin actually listened to Kali and quieted down. She glanced at him, then panicked and broke free from his embrace. She glared and questioned, "Why is it you? Who are you? What do you want?" Lam Lin asked 3 questions in a row in Kali's eyes at that moment. She was no different from a small cat with its fur on end, looking at him fiercely, crying out, "Wah meow, meow, meow." Kali looked at her and smiled faintly. What an interesting reaction. Thinking this, he suddenly moved closer to Lam Lin. Lam Lin shrank into a ball against the wall, her whole body on high alert. What are you doing?" Seeing Kali getting closer and closer, Lam Lin instinctively shut her eyes tightly in fear. Kali reached out and gently touched Lam Lin's head, then took a lock of her hair and felt it. A moment later he spoke, "I finally found you, red-haired witch." Lam Lin was horrified to hear this, and quickly backed away. "Wait, red-haired witch, he's not mistaking me for my mom, is he?" Thinking this, Lam Lin became tense, shaking her head vigorously. Hey, wait a minute, you're mistaken. The red-haired which you're looking for isn't me." Kali saw her vehement reaction. He nonchalantly took off his glove. "Then this thing, you should know it, right?" Kali's cold white hand was revealed, the knuckles delicate and distinct, especially with something on it that looked quite familiar. It was the mark. Lam Lin's eyes widened. She remembered her mother's words. "Find the person with a mark like this. He will help you." The two looked at each other, then exclaimed in unison, You're the one I'm looking for." Lam Lin still couldn't quite believe it. She took Kali's hand to confirm again. "Maybe it's an illusion. I feel a slight pain in the finger with the mark, as if it's responding to the other." Very quickly, Lam Lin pulled her hand back. She started to ask about the main issue. "You're the one mentioned in the letter. Where's my mother? Where is she now?" Kali looked at her in silence. As he was about to open his mouth, something suddenly fell down. Both of them froze, turning their attention to the object. Below, a black crow with a letter in its beak caught. Once, Lam Lin looked at it with disgust. "This black chicken, it doesn't look very smart. It even has a bald spot on its head." Hearing this, Kali reminded her from behind, "It's a black crow." The crow seemed to understand. After Lam Lin's words, its gaze towards her became fierce. It spat out the letter, then frantically attacked the one who had just been scrutinizing it. Lam Lin felt like she was facing a life-or-death trial, constantly dodging, still not understanding what was happening. What's wrong with this black chicken? So scary. Kali patiently repeated, "I told you the black crow." As he spoke, he picked up the letter to look at it. On the outside, it was written from Mama. "Is it yours?" Hearing this, Lam Lin ignored the crazy crow. She ran back, snatched the letter from Kali's hand, a little excited. "A letter from Mom?" After looking closely, Lam Lin tore it open. Inside it was written, "My dearest Lin, when you read this letter, it means you have met that person. You must be very curious about where I am right now. Actually, you don't need to worry about me. I'm very safe right now, but now I have something very important to tell you. Actually, there's only one key to connect the two worlds, which is the key that you have already used." Lam Lin's face scrunched up as she read this. Kali, beside her, looked at the top of her head and started to tease. Your hair has turned white." Lam Lin continued to read, "But don't worry, I've already arranged some tasks for you, which is to stay by that child's side and help me." Lam Lin froze, turning to stone. Until the next sentence. "Because that is my creditor. Remember to take good care of yourself. My beloved child." Lin Ling was horrified. Blood started to trickle from the corner of her mouth. Kali, who was beside her, also roughly understood. "So that's how it is. It seems you've been abandoned." Lin Ling completely broke down. "What the hell? Didn't you say the person with the mark would help me? Why is it a creditor? Mom is such a trickster. So aren't I just walking right into a trap now?" Thinking that, Lin Ling stole a glance, only to meet Kali's direct gaze. Lin Ling laughed sheepishly. "Well, so you're my mom's creditor. What a coincidence." Kali suddenly approached Lin Ling. Lin Ling backed away in fear, continuing to speak as if nothing was wrong. Although I don't know how much money she owes, Right now, I'm just a normal high school student with no financial ability at all. There's no way I could pay the debt. Lin Ling's eyes darted around, generally not daring to look directly at Kali. I'll go home first. I swear as soon as I find my mom, I'll immediately drag her back. Saying that, Lin Ling closed her eyes and tried to bolt, but as soon as she turned, she was blocked by Kali's arm. He asked her with amusement, "Go home. Did you forget that you no longer have a key to go back?" Hearing that, Lin Ling's face lit up. Really? But in less than a second, she fell silent because of Kali's next sentence. As an exchange, I want your power, as long as that power of yours is useful to me. Before he could even finish, Lin Ling bowed her head and shouted loudly, "No way. She owes you money. I'll find a way to pay you back. Only that thing. Only that one thing. This ability, I will not use it anymore." Lin Ling revealed a slightly pained face. From the first time he met her until now, this was the first time Kali had seen this expression on her face. He was stunned for a moment, but quickly recovered, saying some hateful words. "What if I let you go and you run away?" Lin Ling, as if he had hit a nerve, retorted in a small voice, "Do I look like that kind of person?" Kali continued, "It's very dangerous for a little girl like you to be out alone. In that case, you might as well stay with me." Lin Ling didn't look at him, her eyebrows raised high, muttering, "Staying with you is what's dangerous." Kali didn't care much about her rebellious attitude, saying seriously, "Moreover, I have been waiting for you. This time I won't let you escape again." Lin Ling looked up at Kali getting closer and closer to her, his breath fanning her face. Lin Ling's face froze. This person, right after that a crisp thud rang. "Ow! This person is truly a pervert." Lin Ling headbutt Kali hard, then playfully stuck out her tongue, turned her back and ran off in a flash. "Serves you right, you scoundrel." Kali was in pain. He squatted down, and after a moment he burst out laughing. Truly a hard-to-get-close-to stray cat. A moment later, the tavern where the explosion occurred had attracted countless people in the town. They loved gossip, so they came to see. Everyone exclaimed, "It looks so tragic." Lin Ling had just found a torn piece of cloth to patch up her neck, both for disguise and to ward off the cold. She hid in the crowd, looking at the scene in front of her, and bit her lip. Now, not only is the key lost, even the entrance was accidentally destroyed by me. What should I do now? Does this mean I can't go back anymore? While spinning in a daze, suddenly a voice rang out not far away. The man said, "Where on earth did the red-haired woman who disappeared for a while go?" The other person thought for a moment, then replied, "I once heard that she owed a large sum of money and then fled to the other side of the world." Hearing that, Lin Ling's ears perked up. Then she joined the two of them, her face filled with surprise. Hey, a third person suddenly appeared. The two men were startled, looking at Lin Ling in confusion. "Who are you?" Lin Ling put on a pitiful expression, her sparkling eyes blinking. "I'm a little curious about the door you mentioned that can lead to another world. Do you know where it is?" Hearing that, the two of them replied nonchalantly, "We don't know either. It's just hearsay after all. But you can try going to the grotto. You can find anything there. After all, there anything is possible." Following the directions of the two men, it wasn't long before Lin Ling successfully found the grotto. She stood looking at the descending staircase, her eyes shining with hope, a wide grin on her face. So maybe I can find the way back. After a moment of joy, Lin Ling slowly stepped inside. She looked around warily. This is the grotto they were talking about, right? The black city where anything is possible. It feels a little scary. Thinking this, Lin Ling suddenly shook her head vigorously. But to go back, I have to risk it. Lin Ling gathered all her courage and stepped forward to push open the door. Inside, people were coming and going. It was quite noisy and lively. Lin Ling was like a bewildered deer, walking and looking utterly clueless, a country bumpkin in the city. But after taking just 2 steps, a voice called out to her, "Little girl." Lin Ling looked over. It was an old woman sitting in a stall, holding a pipe. The old woman looked at her thoughtfully, continuing, "You look unfamiliar. First time here?" Lin Ling suddenly became tense. Yes." The old woman took a puff of her pipe and said again, "Everyone who comes here has only one purpose. The little girl must be looking for something in her heart. You can consider me, because this old woman is famous as the all-knowing one in this grotto." Lin Ling stood frozen like a statue. Her eyes darted around. This old woman looks very suspicious. Thinking that, she immediately turned to leave, opening her mouth to refuse. "No need. I'm just looking around." The old woman spoke again. "Don't be in such a hurry to leave. Little girl, are you also here to ask about the door?" Lin Ling's ears perked up, her footsteps unconsciously taking a step back. She bowed her head and cautiously asked the old woman, "Grandma, how did you know?" The old woman said, as if it were obvious, "This old one is in the business." Lin Ling continued to ask, "Then do you know where the door to the other world is?" The old woman took a puff, raising an eyebrow. "What do you want to know for?" Lin Ling clasped her hands in front of her chest, naively and honestly telling everything. "To be honest with you, Grandma, I'm from that side. Something happened along the way, and now the way back is gone." "Grandma, if you know, can you tell me?" The old woman blew out a puff of smoke. After a moment, she jumped off her chair. Lin Ling was stunned, calling out to her in confusion, "Grandma, Grandma." The old woman walked inside, her tone nonchalant. "Follow me. This old woman will take you." Hearing that, Lin Ling was overjoyed. "Thank you, Grandma. This is great. I can go home." Lin Ling started to follow, but the further she went inside, the stranger she felt. The atmosphere in here was even more bizarre and terrifying than outside. Moreover, there were several large, fierce men staring at her like hungry tigers. Lin Ling shrank back, muttering to herself, "You can't see me. You can't see me." After walking for a while, Lin Ling opened her mouth. "Ahem, Grandma, are we almost there?" The old woman opened the door in front of her and stepped inside, answering her, we're here, don't rush. You wait here for me for a moment." Lin Ling looked around in confusion, replying in a small voice, "Yes." A minute passed. Lin Ling's whole body was stiff. Only her eyes darted around, looking left then right. 20 minutes later, her mood grew worse, both confused and anxious. Lin Ling gradually lost all patience. "Grandma is taking too long." She peeked at the door, then out of curiosity, she stepped forward and squinted to look through. What on earth are they talking about? On the other side, the old woman was talking to someone, as if negotiating. "Only 20 gold coins? That child is from the other side. Quite rare. The price should at least be a little higher." The woman sitting opposite replied casually, "Business hasn't been good lately. Besides, she's just a little girl, not worth much money. I might even lose money selling her." The old woman, afraid the other person wouldn't buy, immediately compromised. All right, then I'll bring her in." Lin Ling heard these sentences. Her face immediately stiffened. She was so scared she forgot to close her mouth. Damn it, that old woman turned out to be a human trafficker. No, I have to escape quickly. But life is not a dream. Lin Ling had just tiptoed 2 steps when the old woman pushed the door open and walked in, smiling. "Have you been waiting long? Little girl, I've finished discussing with the madam here. She can take you back." The smile on Lin Ling's face froze. Her tone also a bit fake. "Real? Really?" That old woman suddenly reached out to pull Lin Ling. "Let's go." Lin Ling shrank back in fear. Like hell I believe you." As she spoke, she knocked over the pile of wood next to her, blocking the old woman. A continuous series of crashing and clattering sounds rang out. Lin Ling ran out in a panic. The old woman hurriedly chased after her, then scolded the big tall men. "You idiots, what are you dawdling for? Hurry up and chase that brat." Since coming to this world, Lin Ling felt like she was playing the part of a professional marathon runner, running and running. In her heart, she screamed in frustration. Why is it like this? One wave hasn't passed, and another one comes. Can the next wave please bring something good? Lin Ling ran like crazy. Then she slammed on the brakes at a turn, just in time to see a familiar face. Kali calmly looked at Lin Ling's terrified state, calmly eating his apple. Seeing each other, they both let out an ah, then questioned in unison, "Why are you here?" Lin Ling panicked and slammed on the brakes. She looked behind her. Behind were the human traffickers. In front was the creditor. Kali was munching on an apple, his tone incredibly punchable. "Just in time. I don't have to waste energy looking for you." Lin Ling gritted her teeth, tears welling up in her eyes. She no longer had the will to live in this world. Let's leave it to fate. Either way is a dead end. The men behind were still running wildly towards them. "Stinky brat, don't run." Seeing Lin Ling frozen to the spot, Kali suddenly threw the apple at the leader. Then amidst their confusion, he grabbed Lin Ling's hand and ran. At the same time, with his other hand, he pulled a curtain, spun around, and opened his mouth to say, "Hurry, run in here." The The group of people was blocked by the curtain amidst their shouts. Kali led Lin Ling by the hand and ran quickly. Lin Ling ran dazedly behind Kali. She looked at his back. Why does he want to help me? While pouting sassily and not watching where she was going, Lin Ling suddenly ran into a wall. She cried out in pain. So painful. Did you do that on purpose? Kali replied blandly, his tone lacking sincerity. Sorry. It's a bit narrow here after all. Suddenly Lin Ling saw a turn with light. She turned, pulled Kali back, and sped up, run that way. Kali was surprisingly cooperative and let himself be pulled. His nonchalant voice rang out. I forgot to say, if you run around randomly here, you'll end up somewhere else. Right after that, the two arrived in a place with a completely different space. Lin Ling's eyes widened as she shouted, "Where is this?" But she quickly came to her senses and continued to run for her life. Whatever, let's run first and talk later. The two ran so fast that they accidentally bumped into a passerby, spilling coffee on their clothes. The person shouted angrily, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Lin Ling didn't turn back, shouting loudly, "Sorry." And at that moment, the group of people was also running, crazily towards them. They ran past, and without noticing, accidentally knocked the coffee cup onto the person a second time. They shouted urgently, "Stop, stop." Kali ran side by side with Lin Ling. In a critical situation, he still didn't forget to tease her. "I didn't expect you to be so sought after. What kind of trouble did you cause now?" Lin Ling yelled at him, "Cut the crap. I'm the one who got tricked." The two ran onto a bridge, the group behind still chasing them like a swarm. Lin Ling cried out in panic, this time we're really done for." Kali and Lin Ling stood back to back. Lin Ling asked the other in fear, "Hey, do you have a plan?" Kali smiled, Then he suddenly became serious. "You stand behind me." Lin Ling pursed her lips, let out a but very obediently did as she was told. Kali confidently reached for something in his chest. Lin Ling swallowed. Watching nervously, the group of men also turned pale when they saw this action of his. But right after that, the group was stunned. Kali walked over holding a bag of money. He honestly said to the men, "I only have this much. Please leave a little for me to call a ride." Lin Ling was going crazy. "Hey, what are you doing?" But the group of men realized the two of them were not a threat at all. They aggressively took the money, then ordered, "Hey, hands up and sit down now." Kali said nonchalantly, "Don't be so fierce." Lin Ling stood beside him with her head down, silent as a clam. "What is this? Why is it always like this?" Carefully and cautiously keeping a secret for 18 years was just to be able to enjoy a happy and simple life. Originally today, I had an appointment with friends to celebrate my birthday. Now it's turned into this. In the end, it's all Mom's fault. At this point, Lin Ling's face was scrunched up into a knot. She furiously grabbed the collar of a nearby man, scolding him while aggressively hitting him. The man's face turned pale, looking at Lin Ling in confusion. "What does this have to do with me?" Right after that, piercing screams rang out. The witnesses to the scene were all startled, and the man was quickly beaten unconscious. The remaining men looked at Lin Ling in horror, as if looking at a monster. "Hey, what's wrong with this girl? You brat, you dare." Before they could even act tough, Lin Ling clenched her fists, bared her teeth, and glared, turning to them with a terrifying The group of men immediately fell silent. Suddenly at this moment, the male lead's ungraceful father couldn't help but laugh out loud. Puffed. Ha ha ha. As expected of the red-haired witch's daughter, so strong. Lin Ling looked up, her eyebrows raised high. When did that guy climb up there? Kali ignored Lin Ling's strange gaze, casually opening his mouth. "But there's something I have to remind you about. Are you planning to solo all of them now?" Hearing that, Lin Ling was startled for a moment. Then the corners of her lips curled into an arrogant smile. Of course. Seeing this, the group of men were scared pale, thinking to themselves that they were really done for this time. Lin Ling turned her head to face them. Just when they were preparing to plan their escape, Lin Ling's attitude suddenly changed 180 degrees. She spoke up, "No way," then turned her head and scrambled up the iron frame where Kali was perched. She frantically reached out her hand to him. "Quick, give me a hand." Kali looked at her indifferently, watching her struggle without helping, showing his true colors in a crisis, making a condition with Lin Ling. 1 help for 10 gold coins. Plus, saving you earlier, so that's 20 gold coins in total. Lin Ling yelled. "So expensive, pulling me up a little won't kill you." Tears were already welling up in Lin Ling's eyes. Kali showed no mercy, continuing, "Then I'll give you a discount. As long as you agree to my condition, I'll help you get out of this place." Moreover, I won't pursue your mother's debt anymore. How about it? A great deal, right? At this point, Kali flashed a radiant smile. But as soon as Lin Ling saw his attitude, she knew something was wrong. She screamed frantically, "A great deal, my ass." But in this critical situation, Lin Ling was really about to run out of strength. She couldn't hold on much longer. Kali looked at her nonchalantly, really too stubborn. After a moment, Lin Ling's eyes were half closed, completely exhausted. There was no other way. At this point, she could only agree first and figure it out later. Thinking that, she spoke up. "Okay, I agree." Just as she finished speaking, Lin Ling couldn't hold on anymore. Her hand gripping the iron bar slipped. For a moment, Lin Ling was dangling in the air. In midair, then that steady hand grabbed hers once again. Kali quickly pulled Lin Ling towards him. He held her tightly. Lin Ling finally let out a sigh of relief. But right after that, this jerk gave her a new thrilling experience. Kali made them both jump off the dam. Lin Ling clung to his arm in fear, crying her eyes out. "Didn't you say you would save me?" A man's words are truly not trustworthy, especially a smooth-talking and handsome man. The pendulum clock ticked with a cheerful sound. Memories of childhood flooded back. The red-haired witch sat beside her daughter, both looking out the window. It was a beautiful moonlit night scene. She spoke. "Lin Lin, do you know what the clock striking 12 at midnight means?" Little Lin Lin smiled and turned her head. "I know. It's when the carriage turns back into a pumpkin." "That question can't stump me." The red-haired witch smiled at that. "Silly girl, this is also when the magic begins." Then a series of clanging sounds rang out. Lin Ling squeezed her eyes shut. "Am I in heaven now?" She heard Kali's voice echoing in her ear. "Hey, hey, wake up, hey, hey." Lin Ling frowned slightly. She wondered, but why can I still hear that jerk's voice in heaven? Does he still want to collect debts from me after death? How annoying. After a moment, Lin Ling peeked, opened one eye, then was a little surprised. Kali's voice rang out beside her again. "You're awake." Lin Ling looked at the scene before her in horror. Kali was paragliding, carrying her, flying high in the sky. Lin Ling's pupils shook. Her head was spinning. Have I become an angel now?" Kali looked at her with disdain, not even bothering to look at her, his voice nonchalant. "You're overthinking it. We're still alive." Lin Ling screamed, clinging on desperately. "But this is way too high." Kali looked over with annoyance, scolding her with his eyes. "Hey, be quiet. Aren't you a witch? Shouldn't you be used to flying high, using that kind of flying broom?" Lin Ling's voice trembled as she explained. "I've always lived a normal life." While floating in the sky, suddenly from not far away, an angry, powerful voice rang out. "Hey, over there, flying is prohibited here. Get down here now." Lin Ling looked in the direction of the sound, her eyebrows furrowed tightly. Police. Besides that, she also saw the group of men about to be handcuffed. Lin Ling was extremely smug, forgetting her fear and sticking out her tongue to taunt them. "Looks like we've escaped from that group. Look how funny their panting, timid appearance is." Kali glanced at her. He said nothing, but the disdain in his eyes was clear enough. "Are you? You just agreed to my terms." Accompanying his reminder was a threatening action. His hand casually pretended to let go of Lin Ling to let her fall, but his face was kind as he flashed a beautiful smile, truly asking for a punch. In a flash, Lin Ling was scared into obedience. She was extremely aggrieved. How could that be? "I keep my word." Saying that, Lin Ling began to cry silently. "This time I really have to stay here and pay off the debt. Goodbye to my youth." Kali noticed every expression on her face. He knew full well what she was thinking, but seeing her mood change so quickly made him find it very interesting. He turned his head and smiled faintly. A moment later, the two finally landed. Lin Ling immediately made friends with the ground. Wretch, I want to experience that kind of flying high up ever again." Kali stretched tiredly behind her amidst Lin Ling's complaints. A few minutes passed. When he saw she was better, Kali suddenly spoke up. "Although it's a bit late now, I still want to formally introduce myself to you." Hearing that, Lin Ling turned her head to look at him. Kali said seriously, "My name is Kali, and I'm the third prince of this kingdom." Lin Ling was stunned for a moment, then began to pout, her eyebrows raised in disbelief. Prince, a scoundrel like you is also a prince?" Kali rolled his eyes, taking a bright red apple from his jacket pocket. He ignored Lin Ling's disrespectful words, saying calmly, "Sorry, a scoundrel like me is indeed a prince." Lin Ling frowned and stared at Kali as if she wanted to poke a hole in him. This guy, instead of saying he's a prince, it's better to say he's a flirtatious rogue. Under Lin Ling's fiery gaze, Kali raised an eyebrow. What is it? Then he suddenly had an idea. He looked at the apple in his hand, then asked her, do you want some too? Lin Ling thought she wouldn't say anything until he asked, but her stomach disobediently rumbled like thunder. She was a little embarrassed, suddenly remembering she hadn't eaten all day. Lin Ling remained silent. Kali let out a cold, helpless snort, reluctantly handing over the apple, his tone nonchalant. For you. Then he pulled his lips into a smile. So what's your name? Due to survival instincts, Lin Ling's eyes didn't leave the apple. Then she pursed her lips, a little unwilling. It's so funny. On this birthday, I didn't receive fresh flowers, nor exquisite and beautiful gifts, but received something like in a fairy tale. Luscious and tempting, unpredictable. His apple. And the giver is a real prince, like a cruel joke of fate. I ended my happy, normal high school life and began the journey of paying off my mother's debt. Thinking of this, Lin Ling replied in a small voice. Lin Ling. Then she stretched out both hands, solemnly accepting the apple from Kali, looking like she was cherishing it. Kali smiled with satisfaction. Well then, please take care of me from now on, Lin Ling. After filling her stomach, Lin Ling felt she could eat 10 more apples. Her abundant health gave her more energy, accompanied by a surge of resentment. Lin Ling and Kali stood looking at the scene of lights in the town. She shouted angrily, as if to vent everything out. Old woman, you're a scoundrel. The pendulum clock chimed again. Little Lin Ling wondered, is 12 o'clock at night when the magic starts? The red-haired witch played with a lock of her hair, the corner of her lips curling up slightly. Lin Ling didn't believe it and immediately found her favorite comic book, flipped it open, and showed it to her mother, her tone resolute. That's not right. It's clearly written in the fairy tale that's when the princess turns back into Cinderella, bullied by her 2 sisters and stepmother. Mom, look at this. Pausing for a moment, she put on a dreamy expression. So young, but already so boy crazy. That's not right. The prince will come looking for her with a glass slipper soon. Ah, so romantic. I wonder when Lin Ling will get to meet such a handsome prince. I really want to grow up fast. The red-haired witch looked at her daughter's expression and burst out laughing. Then she flicked her forehead lovingly. Silly girl, fairy tales are meant to trick children like you. What's Cinderella always having to worry about when the magic will disappear, like a fool just waiting for a miracle to save herself? Instead of waiting for a prince who you don't know when will appear, it's better to become the one who creates miracles. At this point, the red-haired witch created specks of light between her 2 fingers. Then they turned into a glass slipper. But very quickly it dispersed into many other clusters of light, flying up into the air, exploding to create beautiful bursts of fireworks. Lin Ling watched intently, her eyes showing great fascination. Those bursts of fireworks then turned into a pumpkin, then a glass slipper. Suddenly at this moment, a beam of light shot down, creating a lovely little crown. The surrounding light was incredibly sparkling. Lin Ling raised her hands, wanting to cherish it. At this moment, the red-haired witch spoke up and asked, So, Ling Ling, do you want to become a princess or a witch? Lin Ling was silent. A moment later, she suddenly crushed the crown of light in her hand. The beams of light came together, continuing to shine. Lin Ling looked at them, her eyes filled with hope. I want to become a witch. Saying that, she threw it upwards. The beam of light exploded once more, creating a burst of brilliant fireworks. Lin Ling repeated again, I want to become the coolest witch, so that no matter what I encounter, I can turn it into a miracle. That's right, just by becoming a witch, one can create miracles. But now, instead of miracle, the present is truly a mess. Lin Ling looked at the grilled fish in front of her, her eyes heavy, sighing wearily. Kali saw her sitting still as a statue and gave a reminder. Hey, the grilled fish is about to burn. Please cherish the food that I worked so hard to catch. Upon hearing that, Lin Ling's face fell, and she unhappily picked up the fish. She opened her mouth to speak. There's something that needs to be made clear. Right now, I'm only temporarily agreeing to act with you in the capacity of a debtor. Once I find my mother and pay off the debt, I will leave. As for lending you my power, sorry, I can't do it. I have sworn I will absolutely not use my power anymore. Kali looked up at her, but didn't forget to blow on the grilled fish in front of him. Then he swallowed it in one gulp. A prince in name, but no different from a hungry ghost. And on top of that, a vagrant on the streets. Lin Ling, sitting opposite him, was in no mood to mind him. She lowered her head and fiercely struggled with the grilled fish. But her attitude was extremely resolute. That's right, absolutely. Pausing for a moment, she asked again, besides, you're clearly a prince. Shouldn't there be a luxurious limo to pick you up and take you home? If there's no limo, that's fine. A horse-drawn carriage would also do. Surely it hasn't come to having to ride this thing home? Lin Ling wore an expression of utter disgust towards that blue fish-shaped scooter. Does it look any different from a child's toy? Kali didn't pay much mind to her attitude. After finishing off the fish, he spoke casually, "Aha, how embarrassing. I'm just a third prince with nothing to my name. Besides, it's all because of someone who is not only dead hard to find, but also caused trouble everywhere. It was out of kindness that I spent my entire fortune. Moreover, I also have my reasons for absolutely not wanting to contact my subordinates." Every word he said was incredibly reasonable, as if everything had its reason. He couldn't be blamed, and the someone in his words was the person sitting in front of him. Lin Ling also knew he was taking a jab at her, and lowered her head, feeling guilty. But it couldn't be entirely her fault, could it? He's being so unreasonable. Thinking that, she spoke with contempt, "But you're a prince. As long as you beckon with your finger, countless talented and outstanding people will assist you. Why must you come to a person like me?" Saying that, Lin Ling took a big bite of fish, but she suddenly froze, a thought popping in her head. Lin Ling put on an expression of someone who has seen through the ways of the world. She suddenly moved closer, nudging Kali's arm. "Hey, it's not that you have some ulterior motive you can't let others know about, is it? Tell me. Or is it that you have a secret crush on your neighbor's brother's fiancée and need a witch to cast a curse or something?" Kali glared at her, silent for a moment. Then he suddenly lowered his head, letting out a hum from his throat. Lin Ling's eyes widened, filled with astonishment. "No way, did I guess it right?" The yellowing firelight shone on the side of Kali's face. He smiled slightly and said honestly, "I want to become king." Lin Ling's mouth fell open. Then she broke into a smile. "Ha ha ha, so you want to become king." Saying that, she let out a snort because she tried to hold it in but couldn't. Who told Kali to be so ridiculous? Kali's hand supported his chin. Ignoring that childish person, he said faintly, "I must obtain a territory. As long as within 1 year, I can produce territory management results better than my 2 older brothers, I can become the heir to the king." As he said this, a rare seriousness appeared in his eyes. After hearing this, Lin Ling's head was spinning. "King, territory." She cried out in astonishment. Why does this problem need someone else's help? Isn't there? Before she could finish her sentence, Kali stood up, not even looking at her, with an infuriating demeanor. "Ah, it's true that a full stomach makes one sleepy. Well then, good night." Lin Ling was furious. Hey wait, I still have many things I want to ask. Kali couldn't be bothered. After speaking, he slipped into his tent, completely separating himself from Lin Ling outside. Lin Ling stood there fuming for a long time. Then she furiously picked up the water bucket and doused the fire, muttering resentfully, "What an infuriating guy." Not long after, as the moon gradually rose higher, Lin Ling also crawled into her tent. She sat curled up, wearily resting her head on her knees. She suddenly thought back on some things. This world, it seems no different from my world. Modern humanities, scientific achievements, except for magic of course. Only a few witches can use magic. But ordinary people can use magical tools created by witches to make life more convenient. This is the world where Mother once lived. A witch? Lin Ling lowered her eyes, then suddenly had something to ask. She poked her tent, speaking to the person not far away. "Hey, are you asleep?" But the other side was completely silent. Lin Ling pouted and fell onto the ground. Asleep? But after lying down, she remembered the young man with eyes full of determination. He said he wanted to become king. Lin Ling unhappily turned over. What's with that? Acting like he's so great. I used to be like him, with all sorts of messy wishes. It's just a pity. The old curses suddenly rushed back. Keep a tight leash on that thing that harms your family. You evil mother and daughter. Get out of our city. That day was a rainy day. Mother had led Lin Ling away. The two of them just stood at the quiet bus stop, taking shelter from the rain. It was as if they had been abandoned by the whole world. The two of them just stood there until the whimpering tone of Lin Ling rang out. "Mom, let me become a normal person. I don't want to become something that harms people." As she spoke, Lin Ling's pea-sized tears just fell, looking as if she was competing with the sky to see who had more water. The red-haired witch standing beside her heard this and slightly extended her hand, but she suddenly thought of something and gently pulled her hand back. But in the end, she still reached out her hand, took off her daughter's hat, then squatted down and hugged Lin Ling, who was sobbing. The red-haired witch clipped a bird-shaped hairpin for her, gently comforting her, whispering in her ear, even without magic, Ling Ling can become the person she wants to be. Suddenly at this moment, the oil lamp beside her made a sound. Lin Ling woke with a start. She covered her face with her arm. Why do I always keep remembering things from the past? Luckily, it's all in the past. Time to sleep. With that thought, she immediately turned off the only oil lamp. Darkness enveloped everything. It was pitch black. At the same time on this side, Kali's long, slender fingers were fiddling with a coin. He lowered his eyes, sitting in silence, as if deep in thought. In another place, in the solemn royal palace, an angry voice rang out, "Ah, damn it," right after that a chess piece was thrown down hard, causing the others to topple as well. First Prince Ha gritted his teeth, glaring, "Humph, you won this round again." Second Prince Soren leisurely tapped his fingers on the table, speaking gently. "After thinking for so long, you finally realized you lost, brother." Ha feigned anger at the taunt and snorted, but couldn't say another word. Soren smiled. "Ha ha, father has been tired and went to sleep long ago." Not far away, a tiny old man, small as a baby, was hugging a pillow and sleeping soundly. He was the supreme ruler of the Wit's kingdom, King Dolly. Perhaps because he fell asleep while playing chess, he was dreaming that he was playing chess, talking in his sleep. "This time, I got you surrounded." Ha stood up and rubbed his sore neck, saying unhappily, "That's right, it's been a 17-hour battle anyway." And as a result, the old man was too tight-lipped, couldn't get any news in the end. If you want to judge our management abilities to choose a successor, why not just let us compete to see who can submit the most golden items? You have to produce something. It's not clear what it is. It's really annoying. Saying that, he angrily scratched himself and kicked at a nearby flower vase. Soren saw his brother's childish tantrum and let out a laugh. Suddenly, Ha turned his head back, his eyes a little dangerous, his tone no longer joking. "Besides, why are you in such a hurry? I'll make you lose everything you have." Soren looked over, then lowered his head and replied faintly, "Is that so? Then I'll be eagerly waiting to see." Ha was driven mad by his younger brother's attitude and let out a fierce ha. Soren looked out the window, his gaze distant. "But next time we meet, let's try calling our good-for-nothing little brother too. I really want to know the reason he hasn't left this struggle yet." Happiness and unhappiness are absolutely not arbitrarily defined by others. Only you yourself can decide. Right now, I'm extremely happy. The sounds of slaps echoed one after another, the slaps landing on the face of the young boy Kali. The beautiful woman before him was his royal mother. At this moment, her face was full of guilt, tears blurring her eyelashes. "I'm sorry, Kali. Does it hurt a lot?" Kali lifted his eyes, full of determination, to look at her. One cheek was already swollen, but his tone was incredibly calm. "I said it doesn't hurt. You don't need to ask me every time." His royal mother continued to speak. "I'm sorry. It's all because Mama has implicated you. I'm afraid that if those people know we are living too well, they will hurt you." Kali nodded. "I know. So when I go to school later, I also have to pretend to learn very slowly, right? Mama is so worried. Then I'll stay with Mama a little longer before I go to school." Saying that, he bared his white teeth in a sweet smile. "My mother used to be a royal consort. Now she lives in a tower far from the royal palace. You've all been deceived by us. She is the mother who loves me most. Only I know." That day, Mama kept saying sorry to me. It was also the first time she mentioned that name. "Kali, if there comes a day you need power, then go find the red-haired witch." Kali rested his head on his royal mother's lap, a little confused. "Huh, the red-haired witch?" His royal mother continued. "Not long from now, you will leave this tower, although I don't know if that child is a boy or a girl, but that child can absolutely be trusted." At this point, she stroked the ring finger on Kali's hand, and then a red mark appeared. He looked at Mama's smiling face, repeating blankly, "Trust." His royal mother said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Kali. This is the only useful thing Mother can do for you." From then on, Mama often reminded me to go find the red-haired witch, until I was taken away from that tower. Although I never asked Mama what happened between her and the red-haired witch, but I believe it must be a very beautiful memory. Back to the present. It was early in the morning, but Kali was already playing the fool, using his hands to form binoculars as if searching for something. His voice was faint. "You said that from a moment ago, you felt a magical force?" Lin Ling was seriously searching in a tree. "Hollow, yeah. After coming to this world, I found that I can slightly feel the pull of magic." Kali squatted down, exclaiming in agreement, "Oh, a witch indeed." Lin Ling touched her chin thoughtfully. "It feels like there's a faint thread connecting my body and magic." Kali's fake binoculars were pointed straight at Lin Ling's serious face. He again ruined the atmosphere. "You clearly said you wouldn't use magic, but you're very seriously thinking about things related to magic." Upon hearing that, Lin Ling was startled. Then she shyly changed the subject. "But in the city there are magical tools everywhere, which on the contrary makes it impossible for me to sense a specific magic." Kali quickly turned around to look around, his eyes scanning like car headlights. "There's nothing suspicious over here." Lin Ling ignored him, continuing to ponder. "In this deserted place, there usually wouldn't be any magical tools, but starting from a moment ago, there has always been a magical force attracting me." Kali glanced at her. "A magical tool? Maybe we just passed a magical creature. Let's keep looking." Lin Ling nodded at that. "That's also possible." The two of them walked around the area. Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes widened. She realized something that's not right. If we just passed a magical creature, my distance from it should be getting farther and farther. But that magical force has always been present around me, seeming both near and far. Lin Ling pursed her lips and looked behind her. Could it be? Right after that, as if confirming her suspicion, a magic letter flew past. Lin Ling stared blankly at it, frozen on the spot. Kali's face also went blank, glancing at the culprit that had been making them uneasy all morning. The letter spoke, "Magic delivery letter number 93467. Will you accept it or not?" Kali spoke up. "It's a magic letter? You wait here for me for a moment." Lin Ling said nothing, just that her expression was a little unhappy. While waiting for Kali, she squatted on the ground, a little embarrassed. "Really, what was I so worked up about just now? Paying off Mom's debt. It's been 3 days since I came to this world. Why do I still know so little about this world? It's so not like me." Lin Ling used a branch to scratch back and forth on the ground. "I clearly decided that even without magic, I must become someone who creates miracles. But as a result, now I don't even know what I should do, what I can do, and I'm like a puppet always being led by the nose by my mother and that evil prince. No entourage, no territory either. Even a fool can see he's being targeted." Thinking of this, she looked at that person with disgust, glaring and side-eyeing. She really didn't understand. A person like that, can he become king? Why must he become king? A few steps away, Kali faintly asked the magic letter, "Is the sender Huayan?" The magic letter replied, "Sender anonymous." Kali asked again, "Did they leave a message?" The magic letter shook its head, and Kali, after thinking for a moment, spoke up, refuse receipt. Saying that, he broke the magic letter's arm. On this side, Lin Ling was still silent. I really want to quickly find the Lin Ling that everyone knows again. What is it that I can do well?" As she was lost in thought, there was suddenly a rustling sound from under the bushes. Lin Ling lowered her head slightly to look. She saw the ugly black crow that had lectured her the other day crawling out weakly, looking extremely battered. That terrifying memory immediately rushed back. The feeling of being beaten the other day was still there. She looked at it with some apprehension. "Isn't this the letter-delivering crow from before? Why is it here?" As if realizing something, Lin Ling immediately turned her head. "Danger!" Right after that, she shouted loudly for the other person, "Kali!" Kali hadn't had time to react. He was still looking at the magic letter burning in his hand. However, it was only half burnt. Suddenly, Lin Ling at his side rushed into Kali's chest. To his surprise, she used all her strength to push him far away. "Be careful of that letter. I actually really want to know." Unable to control magic, how can I find my miracle in this world? The train of thought was interrupted by the sky-shattering explosion of that letter. At the same time, magical rays of light suddenly enveloped the two of them. Both were momentarily stunned. We're flying? However, this flight was also too weak. As soon as the explosion ended, the rays of light immediately disappeared, not giving them a safe landing at all. The two of them fell to the ground with a thud. It really felt like it would take half their lives. And at this time, that letter was still continuing to burn. Then very quickly, the flame became weak, and then it went out. In another place, the scene of Kali and Lin Ling floating in the air when the explosion occurred appeared on the screen. Ha couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, that fool really found a witch. It's just a pity that witches are just low-level creatures discarded by the times." The assistant beside him spoke up. "Since it's been confirmed, the plan you mentioned last time." Before he could finish, Ha cut him off. "Possible. After all, that phrase you said, take them down, is pretty cool. The assistant pushed up his glasses slightly, smiling. The more unfamiliar the opponent, the more you must strike first to gain the upper hand, taking down the opponent right from the start. Is that the phrase? I was very satisfied. He ordered, act immediately. A moment later, Lin Ling lowered her eyes. Thinking back on what just happened, she was puzzled. What happened? My magic should have been sealed by the hair clip. Why did it activate just now? Could it be related to the mark on my hand? Unable to figure it out, Lin Ling gave up and tried to turn to the person beside her. I'm done resting. We can set off now. After finishing bandaging the crow, Kali silently stroked it, his face blank, not answering Lin Ling, but it didn't look like he was listening either. Lin Ling ignored him, continuing to speak. Kali, I was just thinking, maybe now I could be considered like an attendant you hired. Although I can't use magic like you expect, I will still do the things that need to be done well. So starting from today, protecting you will be my responsibility. Lin Ling looked at him sincerely, her eyes bright, smiling beautifully. Kali looked at her for a long time. Then he reached for the roll of bandage beside him, leaned towards her, wrapped the bandage around Lin Ling's neck, his breath fanning her ear. His voice was faint, as you wish, but before you can protect yourself, it's better not to talk big about things like protecting me. You don't even know your neck is bleeding. Lin Ling was initially stunned, but after Kali tied a bow on her neck, like a Dalmatian, she felt very angry. Right after that, she turned back and fiercely punched Kali while explaining. That was just a moment of carelessness. Couldn't you have just told me directly? Kali's face was expressionless, and he didn't avoid the punches that were raining down on him from Lin Ling. His voice was calm. It hurts so much. Kali lowered his eyes to look at Lin Ling, remembering what his royal mother had said. Absolute trust. Absolute trust? Clearly just trust alone. This point was enough to make him feel satisfied. Kali and Lin Ling walked for a very, very long time, until Lin Ling thought her legs were about to fall off in different directions. She complained to the person in front. Hey, I'm dead tired. Hey, are we there yet? Kali, who was walking, suddenly stopped. Then he spoke. We're here. You can see it now. That is my territory, 3-day city. The two of them entered the city. On the street, there was the giggling of a little boy as a goat licked his face. Kali carried some hay with him, walking through the flock of goats, and even fed them. Only Lin Ling beside him wore a look of disgust, her face pale, her body stuck close to Kali, as if afraid the goat would swallow her. I don't have any food, don't lick me. Then Lin Ling spoke up. This is completely a countryside, isn't it? Kali looked at her apprehensive appearance and asked faintly, is there a problem with the countryside? The air is very comfortable. The scenery is also very beautiful. It's a city that makes people look forward to it. At this point, the corner of his lips pulled up slightly, revealing a somewhat smug expression. A moment later, he suddenly remembered something and turned his head to look at Lin Ling again. That's right, I still haven't taken you to meet someone. Lin Ling was surprised. Who is it? Kali was pensive, choosing his words. It's someone like a mama, right? Lin Ling was stunned. Mama? While bad-mouthing someone, the ingredient suddenly appeared. That person holding a leek suddenly whipped it towards Kali, his voice also particularly loud. You brat, who are you calling mama? Kali was caught by surprise and fell backwards. He gritted his teeth, then fell sitting on the ground, raising his hand to wave, a fake smile on his face. Mahaha, long time no see, Huayan. Huayan's expression was extremely unsightly, glaring at Kali. You rotten brat. I'll deal with you when we get back. Later in a wooden house, after Kali had recounted everything, Huayan also understood the whole story. So, she is the souvenir that His Highness the Third Prince brought back after ignoring his territory and disappearing for a whole week? The main character who was mentioned stood there as if rooted to the spot. Lin Ling pursed her lips and looked at that difficult person, truly tense. A moment later, she leaned over slightly and asked the other person who was leisurely drinking juice in a low voice. Hey, who is he? Kali was very cool and replied faintly. I forgot to introduce you. He is my childhood best friend and aide-de-camp, Huayan. At this time, Huayan was stirring the soup in the pot. He licked his finger, tasting a little, his expression tense serious. Does it need another spoonful of sugar? Although Lin Ling was a little apprehensive, she still tried to be polite and friendly to strike up a conversation. Hello, I'm Lin Ling, Prince Kali's newly hired attendant. I'm also in charge of the housework at my house. If you need help, just call me. Lin Ling gave a harmless smile. She thought to herself, I didn't expect the unlucky third prince to have such a gentle aide-de-camp. This is a good opportunity to reclaim my perfect image. of myself. Yet Hawaiian directly ignored her, his demeanor not very friendly, only concentrating on continuing to taste his soup. The atmosphere fell into a silent void. Only after a while did he speak, but not in response to Lin Ling. The flavor control is quite good this time. Saying that, he continued to stir his pot. Lin Ling behind him was already trembling with anger. She felt she was being humiliated. Kali knew Lin Ling's temper all too well and spoke up for Hawaiian. Don't worry, he heard you. When Hawaiian is concentrating, he's like this. Lin Ling reluctantly believed it was true and once again gathered her courage to approach and start a conversation. Then, I'll come and help too. Hawaiian finally deigned to speak his first sentence to her, but it was extremely blunt. No need, it will get dirty. Lin Ling smiled and shook her head. It's okay. The clothes I'm wearing aren't anything expensive. Hawaiian replied very quickly, the next sentence directly killing with a knife. I'm telling you that you will dirty my soup. Kali's eyes followed the actions of the two. His ears perked up high to eavesdrop. As soon as he heard Hawaiian's dismissive words, he had to hold back his laughter for a long time. Otherwise, someone would kill him for being tactless. After failing twice, Lin Ling had really reached her limit. She gritted her teeth, so angry she could kill with a look. This guy, Hawaiian, couldn't be bothered with her, continuing with his work. He ladled out a bowl of soup, his face dark as he aggressively brought it over to confront Kali. His tone was full of threat. Eat it. Within 180 seconds. You better not forget there's still a pile of work waiting for you to handle. Or should I feed you? It'll be faster. Kali rarely felt a chill down his spine. He broke out in a sweat, and although he was scared, for the sake of his dignity, he still refused. No need. Thank you, I can eat it myself. After dealing with one troublesome person, next was the freeloader who had just been brought back. Hawaiian turned to Lin Ling gruffly, like an old mother. Really? Wasting time looking for such a good-for-nothing person. It would be better to think of a way to maintain a good image with the people in the city. Lin Ling was stabbed a few times, completely unable to retort, and could only shut up and endure. And speaking of this matter, Hawaiian continued to nag Kali. Since the territory was assigned, you still haven't gone to greet the manager of this territory, have you? Kali, who was lying on the chair sighing, suddenly sat up indifferently and went over to grab his ally. He coughed to him. If we want to maintain a good image, then at least you have to let us tidy up a bit, right? We haven't bathed in days. We're extremely dirty. Hawaiian frowned, assessing the two of them. Their bodies were grimy and even faintly smell bad. A convincing argument, fine. He endured, trying to suppress the anger in his heart, turned his face away, and snorted coldly. A moment later, Kali and Hawaiian left that room. On the way, Hawaiian seriously asked Kali, is that girl a witch? That hair color. Pausing for a moment, he added, I don't trust witches. If she becomes a threat to us, I won't spare her. Kali looked at him faintly. Are you still like that? The war with the witches is clearly a thing of the previous generation. Hawaiian frowned. I just want to remind you not to forget your original wish to become king. I was moved by the you of that time and agreed to assist you. You like her. That's why you found a reason to keep her by your side, right? Right? Hearing this, Kali's face was filled with astonishment. Like her? How come I didn't even know? Hawaiian put on his glasses, acting like a great, all-knowing scholar. I know everything, so what stage are you at? A lone man and a lone woman living together for a week. Don't think I don't know. But producing an heir first is indeed a good move. Hearing this, Kali couldn't help but burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, Hawaiian, you really don't understand anything. I never thought about having her bear a child. She will become our powerful assistant. I trust her. Kali's eyes were full of determination, and his words were extremely serious. Hawaiian let out a breath. The bathroom is to the left. I left the necessary supplies in the cabinet up there. Hurry up and go. Also, the weather is very cold now. Don't take too long of a bath. With that, he strode forward. Kali grumbled helplessly, Hawaiian, you're really like an old woman. Hawaiian turned back and glared, saying irritably, get lost. Not long after, Lam Lin was taken to a private room. After a clean bath, she began to tidy up everything around her. Some time had passed, but Lam Lin still couldn't swallow this anger. Even while busy sweeping, her whole body was resentful and unhappy. Her lips were tightly pursed. Why is that deputy so hateful too? Self-righteous, looking down on others, telling me I dirted the soup. Ridiculous. I'm such a clean person. How could he say that to a lady like me? Or maybe in this world, I should become a household manager instead. After complaining for a while, Lam Lin finished sweeping. She poured the trash into the bin, then was suddenly shocked to see it disappear. somewhere. Lam Lin's eyes widened as she stared into the trash bin. This is the trash disappeared. Do the residents of the country of Whis all live in such a magical environment? The magic of the country of Whis, it's truly miraculous. Suddenly thinking of this, Lam Lin recalled the incident a few days ago when she and Kali were in danger. That magic then, did I use magic? Before, whenever I used magic, my magical power would go out of control and fly away. That's why after that incident, I started carrying a control device and couldn't use magic. Could it be that I can now control my magical power while under the control of the device? Thinking of this, Lam Lin became excited. She kneaded her cheeks, but quickly denied it. No way, no way. I still remember the feeling of using magical power. Or did Mom leave some kind of protective charm in the mark on my finger? She couldn't figure it out no matter how hard she thought. Lam Lin sighed. Oh well, it's better to do what I can. First, I already boasted that I would protect Kali. If he finds out now that I can't control my magical power, it would be too embarrassing. I have to quickly reclaim my perfect image. Lam Lin was filled with determination. She chose a stack of books she thought would be useful, then carried the pile, preparing for her journey back to the top. While walking unsteadily, she stepped on something soft. Lam Lin bent down and picked up the ugly and fierce-looking teddy bear, looking at it with confusion. Hey, what is this? Did the previous owner of the room leave it behind? Speaking of which, Lam Lin suddenly had an idea. She placed the stack of books and the bear on the table, began to stare at it with intense focus, and raised her hands in the air. If I can really control the magical power in my body, maybe I can make this bear move. Thinking this, Lam Lin squinted her eyes and began to mumble. Move, move. Controllable magic won't harm others. Can I really do it? An abandoned teddy bear? If you desire power, the witch Lam Lin will grant you life. Move. Lam Lin waved her hands and feet, her tone becoming louder, looking quite professional. But unfortunately, as time passed, the teddy bear remained motionless. Lam Lin was truly embarrassed. It's really nothing. She wiped the thin layer of sweat from her forehead and gave a self-mocking smile. I'm going crazy. What on earth am I doing? Like a fool. But right at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from above her head. Lam Lin looked up in a daze. The teddy bear in front of her suddenly moved. Are you the foolish which who gave me life? Lam Lin stared at it blankly. Hey, it actually worked? No way, no way, no way, no way. Lam Lin was like a broken record from overexcitement, and then she laughed arrogantly. Wahahaha. As expected of me, Lam Lin. I really succeeded. Maybe I'm a genius. Oh my God, oh my God. Lam Lin was wildly happy with herself. So much so that even the teddy bear found her appearance an eyesore. After a long while, Lam Lin still hadn't stopped. She put on a superior air, stroking her hair and saying to the teddy bear, That's right, I'm the genius which who granted you life. What a headache. I was just planning to try a little. How did I succeed? Right away. You can call me. Before she could finish her sentence, a voice full of disgust rang out. Looks like a nutcase. Lam Lin was petrified in an instant. She couldn't accept any insult and rushed forward madly to grab the teddy bear's neck and shake it. Her face was distorted with anger. What did you say? The teddy bear, still unaware that it was in the hands of a demon, continued to provoke her, asking for a beating. Moreover, your magic value is too low, flat-chested, only your but is a little bit there. Lam Lin retorted, I'm the biological daughter of the red-haired witch with the strongest magical power. The teddy bear continued, then why don't you use your strongest magical power? Lam Lin's grip on its neck faltered for a moment. She was stunned by these words. And that damn teddy bear took this opportunity to escape, running while taunting Lam Lin can't answer. So you really are a foolish witch. Lam Lin came to her senses, shouting defensively, No, I'm not. She chased after that bratty teddy bear. Stop right there. But immediately after, she fell flat on her butt. The teddy bear saw this and laughed ho-ho, saying in a very perverted way, I saw your underwear, ahaha. Lam Lin was really driven mad. She got up and continued the chase, chasing it all the way to the window. Just as she was about to catch it, she suddenly missed. The teddy bear had jumped outside. Lam Lin leaned out to look down, wanting to see where that little devil had run off to. But right after, she froze. That teddy bear was standing on the roof of the second floor, and Kali was controlling it. Kali, knowing he had been discovered, didn't bother to hide anymore and openly humiliated Lam Lin. He dangled the bear in front of her. With an extremely provocative look, "You fool." Lam Lin was petrified, her face filled with despair. She recalled the foolish actions that had just happened. "So just now it was all your prank, you just wait, just die for me." Lam Lin, shamed into anger, screamed wildly, determined to have it out with Kali. Hai, in busy below, noticed the excessive commotion from the two on the upper floor, and also got fired up. His tone was fierce. "What are you two making so much noise for?" After Hawaiian's threat, the house indeed became a little more peaceful. Kali, in his room, smiled at the teddy bear. "That little girl, she's really interesting." Suddenly at this moment, a magic letter flew in. Kali looked at it faintly. "What's the news? Let me see." Kali sat on the windowsill reading the letter, then concluded, "So they really couldn't find the sender of that letter. That person is so stupid. Wouldn't that completely expose them?" Suddenly at this moment, a lively noise from outside attracted Kali's attention. He stuck his head out the window and said to Hawaiian below, "Hawaiian, why is it so noisy outside?" The mother hen Hawaiian, diligently hanging a pile of clothes, also looked around upon hearing this. Then he replied, "It seems the merchant caravan that went out to trade hasn't returned yet." Pausing for a moment, he added, "I'll go investigate." At the same time, the flames of hatred had also reached this point. Lam Lin, with her short legs, actually took 2 or 3 steps at a time just to tear Kali to shreds. Kali turned his head, looking at her calmly. "You got here fast." With that, he turned and went out the window, hooked a rope to the line outside, and said to Hawaiian, "No need, I'll go." Hawaiian looked up upon hearing this, then was horrified. "Hey, what are you doing? That's very dangerous." Kali paid no mind. By now he was swinging on the rope, a smile on his face. "You're right, I should make a good impression on the people in the city." A moment later on the crowded street, the head-turning rate was almost 100%, not because of an outstanding beauty, but because of a strange creature. Lam Lin dragged her feet on the street, her usually cute face distorted beyond recognition, the air around her strangely gloomy. "Damn it, where did that guy die?" As she spoke, her eyes darted left and right. The child behind her saw Lam Lin and immediately told her mother, "Mama, that big sister looks so scary." The little girl's mama, seeing this, was also a bit concerned, signaling her daughter to be quiet or to speak more softly. Otherwise, if Lam Lin turned around, it would surely be very frightening. Lam Lin walked slowly, still muttering, "He dares to make fun of me. We'll see if I don't chop his head off." Suddenly at this moment, not paying attention, she bumped into something, letting out a cry of "A." The brown-haired girl behind her instantly became worried. "Wah, I bumped into someone, sorry, I was looking at your hair and wasn't careful. Are you okay?" Lam Fu was clumsy with her hands and feet, picking up the scattered items on the ground. Although Lam Lin's mood was very bad, she didn't take her anger out on the innocent. She politely squatted down to help Lam Fu pick things up, silently praising in her heart how cute she looked. A moment later, Lam Lin handed the items to Lam Fu, smiling sweetly. "Where do you want to take these? I'll help you." Lam Fu looked up at her in surprise. "Thank you, I'm so sorry." It seemed that seeing Lam Lin's friendliness flipped a switch in Lam Fu. She was shy but very rambling. "This afternoon, after hearing that someone with reddish-purple hair had come to 3 Days City, I've been looking ever since, and before I knew it, I was clearly working." Speaking of hair, Lam Lin suddenly remembered. She opened her mouth to interrupt Lam Fu's hesitant words. "That's right. Have you seen a person with hair the color of?" But before she could finish, Lam Fu had already turned back. With sparkling eyes, she sincerely said to Lam Lin, "So, beautiful big sister, can you let me touch your hair for a bit?" Lam Lin was stunned for a moment. Then her face suddenly turned bright red. "Yeah, I'm a beautiful big sister, a beautiful big sister, a beautiful big sister." Lam Lin was immersed in a feeling of bliss. She replied with great enthusiasm, Of course you can, although I feel something is a bit strange." Hearing this, Lam Fu looked at Lam Lin with a red face. After a moment, the little girl cautiously approached and gently stroked her hair, her whole face filled with admiration. "Wah, exactly like the witch in the picture book, and it's very close to red. It's so beautiful." Lam Lin was a bit shy, saying as if it were very special, "You really like witches?" This one sentence once again hit her conversational nerve. Her nose pointed to the sky. Words began to pour out like rain. "Of course, I'm a certified #1 witch fan of 3 Days City." Lam Lin felt this little girl was a bit too into fairy tales, so she was stunned, mechanically replying, Is that so? Lam Fu continued, Witches are the embodiment of miracles. Everyone in this city probably reveres witches in their hearts. Hearing this, Lam Lin just remained silent. Suddenly at this moment, Lam Fu excitedly exclaimed again, That's right, tomorrow is the 3-day festival. I invite you to definitely come over there to have fun. Lam Lin was surprised. The 3-day festival? Lam Fu nodded, continuing to explain, Yes, our 3-day city was created by a witch 100 years ago who spent 3 days and 3 nights dividing the border. The annual 3-day festival is the day to commemorate the founding of 3-day city, to thank the witch who gave life to this part of the world. Moreover, look under your feet. Every brick on this road has a special magical pattern. This is a gift left by the witches before. Although now those magic circles are broken, but just by pouring a magical industrial material called cattail honey on it, filling each groove with that honey, the magic can be temporarily restored. At that time, just by standing on this road, everyone will emit a beautiful light like fairies. The Road of Light is the most important opening ceremony of the 3-day festival. Lam Fu showed an unconcealed infatuation, her mouth speaking fluently without stopping, so much so that Lam Lin, who was listening for a while, had a chuckle, haha. The moment you mention your favorite magic, you can't stop talking. Seeing her laughing at her, Lam Fu was a bit embarrassed and hurriedly said, sorry. Lam Lin didn't tease her for too long and stopped laughing, thinking to herself that the little girl was just like her old self. But once Lam Fu's switch was flipped, she had to finish what she was saying, but cattail honey is very difficult to make. It's only bought at this time of year. It's strange. Why hasn't the cattail honey been sent here this year? Just then, Lam Lin looked up at the little girl. Then her eyes lit up, identifying her search target, locking onto that hateful figure. But Lam Fu was still talking nonstop. So, you must come to the Thatch 2 shop. That's a wonderful observation spot. As she spoke, the little girl happily wanted to show Lam Lin the place. But in the next second, Lam Lin had vanished without a trace, leaving Lam Fu in a state of confusion. Hey, where did she go? After looking around for a while, Lam Fu still couldn't find Lam Lin and was a bit downcast. It would be great if that beautiful big sister was a real witch. But it's impossible that a witch would come to 3-day city, which betrayed them in the war, right? This city has been forgotten. At the same time, over here, Lam Lin was running like a mad bull towards Kali, who was walking dazedly on the street, her eyes locked on the target. Then she rushed up, grabbed his collar, and pulled him down, their foreheads pressing together. Lam Lin glared angrily. I finally caught you. Comrade Kali, you better forget everything you saw today for me. You're not allowed to tell anyone else. You hear me? Hearing Lam Lin's somewhat agitated tone, Kali was clearly dazed for a moment, but this expression quickly vanished completely. He was back to his old tricks, provokingly making a face, sticking his tongue out to tease Lam Lin. Can't forget. Lam Lin trembled with anger. Her eyes rolled back. Kali, getting into it, suddenly imitated Lam Lin's posture, his tone spot on. If you desire power, the witch Lam Lin will grant you life. Lam Lin was mortified, her face ashen, and she threw a frantic punch towards Kali, roaring, Shut up. Her face was ugly with anger, truly terrifying. I will make you kneel and beg me for forgiveness. Suddenly at this moment, Kali bent down and held both of Lam Lin's hands. He said to her seriously, Then, if you agree to help me with one thing, when we get back, I'll let you have your way with me. Lam Lin frowned at him, her expression skeptical, but she still said patiently, Oh, let's hear it. At the same time in another place, several people were being swallowed by something yellow and writhing. They cried out for help. People nearby, after hearing the piercing screams, also flocked over, but when they saw the scene of the cattail honey gradually engulfing people, they were terrified and didn't dare to get close to help. Can anyone help? Why would something like this happen during transport? At the same time, high above, Lam Lin was using binoculars to observe the situation below. Kali beside her spoke up, See it? Lam Lin was a little surprised. I see it. So what exactly is that disgusting writhing thing? Kali recounted. The merchant caravan of 3-day city went to buy cattail honey and never came back. Hearing this, Lam Lin turned to look at him. Cattail honey, the thing that little girl was talking about, the thing used to restore the magic circles during the 3-day festival. At this moment, Kali pulled a magic letter from his clothes. Then the images on it were gradually etched out. I found a magic letter of that caravan leader. The journey of the letter was like this. It seems that after the caravan's cart went to get a large amount of cattail honey, it got stuck to something and then was assimilated. Lam Lin was extremely surprised. But isn't that thing used to restore magic circles? Why did it become like this? Let me take a closer look. Kali explained, that's just its side effect. Cattail honey has very strong absorption and ductility. It's the main material for magical glue in the industry. You can't pull like that. It will only sink you deeper. Lam Lin lowered her eyes and mumbled, absorption and ductility. So that's why it wraps around people so tightly. Speaking of which, Lam Lin suddenly realized something. Wait a minute. The thing you want me to agree to help with is this. Kali said faintly, let's just say it is. Lam Lin was annoyed by his nonchalant attitude. What do you mean, let's just say? Kali spoke up. Remember what I told you before? My royal father, in a moment of high spirits, decided to use the achievements of me and my 2 brothers in managing our territories to decide who will inherit the throne. Although I don't know what you think of this city, I have reasons to win against them, to protect this city well. You said before that you would protect me, right? So are you willing for me, in the capacity of a witch, to protect this city? Speaking of which, Kali took Lam Lin's hand, then placed something in her palm. Lam Lin opened her palms to look, her mouth agape in surprise. It's the coin that brought her to this world. But in fact, there was only one key connecting the 2 worlds, which was the very key that she had. Already used up, Lam Lin exclaimed excitedly. Isn't this the key that connects the 2 worlds? So it turns out there isn't just one. However, before her hand could even get warm, Kali coldly took it from her. Lam Lin let out a terrified scream. Kali held the coin in his hand, his lips curling into a provocative smile. Miss Detter really wants this, doesn't she? So what's your answer? Don't forget you can also have your way with me. Lam Lin pursed her lips to suppress her anger, glaring at him, this guy. At the same time in the deep forest, the sound of hurried footsteps approached. A young boy hurriedly reported to the group of merchants. There's news from 3-Day City. Help is coming soon. As he said this, the boy's whole body was still trembling with fear, tears welling up in the corners of his eyes. Suddenly at this moment, a large hand patted his shoulder. Kali appeared behind him. His firm tone was reassuring. Everyone please calm down. Next, I will command everyone to carry out the rescue. The immediate task to be solved is... Before he could finish, the group of merchants frowned and cut him off. Who are you, kid? Kali calmly replied, I forgot to introduce myself. I am the new lord of 3-Day City, the 3rd prince of Whis, Kali. Hearing this, the group of people began to whisper among themselves. The 3rd prince? Is it the prince who is rumored to be an illegitimate, lazy prince who doesn't manage state affairs? It seems he even stood up an envoy several times to go out and find a girl to play with. Kali bowed his head slightly. Amidst everyone's back and forth, his voice still rang out steadily. I know, the comments about the 3rd Prince Kali are not very good. But now, I hope everyone can trust me, because my subordinate can help everyone. Speaking of which, he nonchalantly pushed Lam Lin forward while she was still in a daze. The eyes of those around immediately focused on Lam Lin, making her extremely flustered. Another round of discussion arose. With doubt and with trust, she's a witch, I thought no witch would ever appear here. So we're really saved. Lam Lin looked at Kali in panic, who had a calm expression beside her, mentally questioning him. This isn't what we discussed earlier. Kali spoke again. Everyone, the immediate task is to ensure that the citizens trapped in the honey can survive. The terrain here should have a lot of bamboo growing. Whoever feels they are strong, please quickly go and cut some bamboo to make breathing tubes. The people around were initially doubtful, but as soon as they heard Kali's instructions, they immediately followed without hesitation. Leave it to us. Kali continued, the rest of you, can you tell me what methods you have already tried? A moment later, a group of people busily brought the cut bamboo towards the pile of honey. They followed Kali's words and gave the breathing tubes to the victims first. Kali lowered his eyes, to look at the small pile of cattail honey on the ground, gradually understanding, so that's how it is. Heating it or pouring water on it is useless. It probably won't be affected by external forces. If I think about it the other way, I remember the common characteristic when using magical materials is thinking of this. Kali suddenly reached out his hand and snatched a lock of Lam Lin's hair. I'm taking this. Lam Lin was in so much pain that tears streamed down her face. She cried out, "That hurts. What are you doing?" Kali ignored her feelings and seriously dropped the strands of hair he had just taken into the pile of cattail honey. Immediately, the strands of hair were assimilated by it, then formed a shape and at the same time changed to a light pink color. Lam Lin looked at this scene, tilting her head to look at Kali. I didn't expect this guy to have a reliable side. While she was praising him in her heart, Kali suddenly turned his head slowly and said directly, "Lam Lin, I need your power now." Lam Lin was a little surprised, then she unnaturally looked away. Humph, but can my power even help? While Lam Lin was still doubting herself, Kali suddenly clapped his hands and gave her a warm pat on the head. His deep voice rang out, "I believe in you." Lam Lin lowered her eyes, her face gradually turning red, and she hummed in agreement. Not long after, Kali spoke to the crowd. "Everyone, there is now a feasible plan, but it is a bit dangerous and requires everyone's cooperation. I swear on the name of Whis, everyone will definitely be safe and sound." With that, the corners of his lips curled into a faint smile, his eyes showing no evasion or hesitation, directly facing the people. Beside him was Lam Lin. She pursed her lips, looking both serious and a little tense, because at this moment the person next to her was holding her hand tightly, their 10 fingers intertwined. Lam Lin was a little uncomfortable with this kind of intimate contact. Her hands were sweating a lot. I've always been afraid of my power being discovered by everyone, afraid that I would repeat my past mistakes. But even so, there's still many people who are looking forward to it, who trust me. I want this shipment to be transported back smoothly, to organize a happy festival. I want to see with my own eyes magic performing a miracle. I don't want to run away anymore. At the same time, in that writhing pile of cattail honey, a faint black shadow appeared. Its 2 eyes opened wide, looking at the people above. All magical industrial materials share a common characteristic, which is being attracted to magical power, and cattail honey will fuse with ordinary people because we have magical marks on our bodies, our magic letter addresses. Speaking of which, Kali slightly pulled open his collar. On it were some incomprehensible characters. He continued, with this characteristic, if which directly uses magic to suppress it, it will instead easily lead to unpredictable variables. Everyone nodded upon hearing this, so that's how it is. Kali continued, so my suggestion is simple and crude. Everyone's eyes lit up, eagerly awaiting his next words. What is it? What is it? Use a greater magical power to divert the cattail honey's attention. As soon as Kali finished speaking, the eyes of the surrounding people looked at Lam Lin mysteriously, making Lam Lin panic as well. Then she quickly understood, you're not planning to use me as bait, are you? Kali held her head, his faint tone saying scary things. Not just that. After all, there's only one of you. I also want to like with the hair. More fragmented, perhaps the cattail honeydew will disperse into solitary individuals. He. At this, Kali's expression changed slightly. His profound gaze fell upon her. Lam Lin was stunned, breaking out in a cold sweat. Ugh. Kali continued, for example. Immediately after, a ripping sound was heard. Lam Lin stood frozen in place, and before she could do anything, the hem of her skirt had been cut short. Kali nonchalantly picked it up, opening his mouth to say, a piece of cloth from a witch's skirt can be cut into many small scraps, because it contains your magic power. Lam Lin was dumbfounded, completely clueless as to what he was doing. A moment later, Kali signaled to everyone, "Are you all ready?" Everyone shouted back in a loud voice, "Okay." Kali nodded, giving the command, Phase 1 begin. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone worked together to pour the scraps from Lam Lin's skirt onto the pile of cattail honeydew. Very quickly, they all merged together. Kali squatted down to observe. Look, the cattail honeydew is starting to disperse. As soon as the cattail honeydew merged, it immediately separated, then condensed into masses. It finally released the townspeople who were trapped inside. The others helped the victims get out of the canal. Kali commanded again, everyone, take this opportunity. Don't let your guard down. This plan still has one weakness, which is, as he spoke, a mass of cattail honeydew leaped up from below. Kali glanced at it. the plan enters phase 2. That massive cattail honeydew dispersed in midair. Then it rushed towards the panicking Lam Lin. Ka-Lai's introductory class began. The dispersed cattail honeydew will no longer be bound. It will become very agile, requiring someone with immense magic power to lure it to an open area and then catch it all in one net. Which is to say, while everyone else was idle, Lam Lin had to run for her life, feeling extremely resentful. This great witch, why do I have to be such physically demanding bait? Lam Lin was running a high-level marathon when after a while, from above, Ka-Lai, riding a paraglider, called out to her, "Lam Lin, this spot is fine. The townspeople won't be affected by the magic, and the terrain is very open. Use your magic to neutralize their activity." Hearing his voice, Lam Lin looked up, then let out a gasp of surprise at Ka-Lai's words. Lam Lin stammered, but, however, before she could finish, the cattail honeydew had already extended its liquid to grab her hand. Seeing this, Ka-Lai immediately jumped down from the air, catching Lam Lin while using a knife to decisively sever that honeydew branch. However, since it was a liquid, it could grow back as usual. Ka-Lai's face turned cold, and with a huff, he shielded Lam Lin behind him. Seeing the honeydew mass approaching, he urged her, "Hurry up." Lam Lin lowered her head slightly, saying loudly, "But you're still here." Ka-Lai frowned, a bit confused, huh? Lam Lin bit her lip, struggling to say, "I can't, Ka-Lai. The truth is I can't control my magic power. As soon as I remove this magic-suppressing hairpin, the power of my red hair will be restored, and the magic will be released without distinguishing between friend or foe. I absolutely cannot hurt anyone again. So please leave this place. Let me deal with them alone." Lam Lin's words were tinged with urgency and also a plea. Suddenly, at that moment, Ka-Lai's sturdy back pressed against her small, thin one from behind. Lam Lin was momentarily startled, until Ka-Lai once again took the cattail honeydew's attack for her. He protected her resolutely, his voice calm. "If it explodes, it explodes." Lam Lin tilted her head, then her eyes filled with terror as she saw the huge monster in front of her. Ka-Lai stood in front, steadfastly protecting Lam Lin. "That thing is the main culprit that bites and sucks magic power. I won't let it get near you. Besides, do you want to give up hope for change because of a past stumble? I'm not someone who will be easily taken down by a little explosive magic." Hearing his words, Lam Lin's eyebrows furrowed slightly. "Give up? I've had enough of those two words. If I kept trying, maybe I could use this terrifying power to bring miracles and smiles to everyone without hurting anyone. How wonderful would that be?" Thinking this, Lam Lin raised her hand to remove the hairpin. Her eyes squeezed shut, then suddenly flew open, both her hair and eyes turning a brilliant red. She raised her hand to the sky, her voice cold. "You want magic power, don't you? Come and get it. Take as much as you want." Beams of magic erupted around Lam Lin, and the monster, crazed and craving magic power, lunged towards her. Immediately after, a terrifying explosion erupted. In a flash, everything was whitened by smoke. Lam Lin curled up, hugging her own arms, letting the surrounding magic gradually take form, wanting to devour her. Tears fell from Lam Lin's eyes as she looked at her hands, unconsciously calling Ka-Lai's name. It seemed as if Ka-Lai could hear her words. His hand pierced through a large amount of magic power, trembling as it reached for Lam Lin. "Stop! You'll suffer a magic backlash like this." Ka-Lai took step after step towards her, ignoring the magic attacking his body. Returning to the time when Lam Lin was a child, her best friend had given her a small bell. Lam Lin excitedly dangled it in front of her, saying happily, "This is so beautiful. Can you really give it to me?" The little boy smiled brightly, nodding his small head. The boy said sincerely, "Thank you for always standing up for me when I get bullied. You look as cool as the beautiful witch warrior who defeats bad guys in the stories. Who knows, maybe when you grow up, you'll become the best young witch in everyone's eyes." Lam Lin's eyes were wide, listening intently to his words. After a moment, she tilted her head slightly, smiling brightly. "I'll become the best young witch. I have to do better and better." However, not long after, that boy was bullied again. Two other children, playing too rough, lifted him up and headed toward the beehive. Lam Lin, always keeping her promise, was there to protect him, confronting the naughty kids. But this time, Unfortunately, Lam Lin's anger was too great. The magic power she released was too strong, and she carelessly injured all the children, including her best friend. When he was discovered by adults and taken for first aid, Lam Lin was also there, wanting to see how he was. But her mother, knowing what happened, arrived first, decisively pulling her out of the crowd. Lam Lin looked at her friend, surrounded by the whispers of adults. She knew she couldn't stay here anymore, and that she would never see that boy again. Lam Lin's tears fell, her heart filled with terror. In her ear was her mother's comforting voice. "It's okay. They'll be fine. Mama will make your friends run and play happily like before, and will also make them forget you." But the magic Mama had talked about didn't bring me a miracle, so I gave up on miracles, clearly knowing I had a better power, but I could only suppress that feeling, using all my strength to do everything to wash away the feeling of helpless guilt. But I still hope for a miracle to happen and help. For the people around me when they are in danger. Why can't I do a little better? Why? Is it because I'm scared that I can't do my best? Lam Lin cried in sorrow. Suddenly, at that moment, a sound like something being torn apart was heard. Lam Lin looked up, staring ahead in astonishment. She saw Ka Lai struggling to tear apart the magic that was gradually swallowing her. Lam Lin, terrified, tried to stop him. "Ka Lai, don't come here, this place." But before she could finish her sentence, Ka Lai forcefully rushed forward, cupping Lam Lin's face with both hands. He made her look straight at him. Her small face was squished by his hands, her eyes still wet with tears, looking like a pitiful little kitten. Ka Lai looked at her, his eyes filled with trust. "You did it." Just those words from him were enough to leave Lam Lin stunned for a long time. Ka Lai continued to speak. "When you released your magic power, you also tried to use magic to protect me, didn't you? Although the power wasn't controlled well and turned into this. Thankfully, because of it, I'm here completely unharmed, and at the same time, you protected everyone." Lam Lin stared intently at Ka Lai. "I tried, and I succeeded. That's great." At this moment, Ka Lai was still talking, but before he could finish, Lam Lin's hand reached up to cup his face. Ka Lai's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Lam Lin smiled brightly. "Boss, hearing you say that gives me goosebumps all over. It's so cheesy. Don't forget what you promised me. The one who should be saying thank you is me. If you hadn't been willing to believe in me, I wouldn't have had the courage to continue challenging my own power." Ka Lai smiled faintly, then closed his eyes, resting his forehead against Lam Lin's, his voice soft. "I'm dead tired. You've finally recovered, right?" Lam Lin suddenly became tense. She bit her lip, also resting her forehead against Ka Lai's, his gentle breath fanning her face. After a moment, Lam Lin couldn't help but open her eyes to look at him. As if sensing her bright eyes, Ka Lai also slowly opened his to look at her. Lam Lin was caught in the act, and with this overly intimate posture, she blushed shyly. "Hey, when I was with him before, did I feel this secure?" While the two were still enjoying their ambiguous atmosphere, a cold voice suddenly sounded from behind. "Ahem, ahem. Although I don't want to disturb you too, I'm sorry, but could you both please help clean up a scene?" Hawaiians seemed to be speaking for the townspeople. They had been watching this lovey-dovey scene for a while now, and they still had to clean up while these two could just sit there gazing at each other. Ka Lai and Lam Lin instinctively jumped, then hurriedly separated. Lam Lin's whole body was stiff. Only Ka Lai tried to act natural and asked, "Why are you here?" Hawaiian said, as if it were obvious, "If I didn't come, how are you planning to bring the overturned cargo truck back, huh?" Ka Lai, resigned, nodded perfunctorily, I know. Meanwhile, Lam Lin behind him still couldn't calm down, her gaze not daring to look straight, not even at his back. Ka Lai, although he always has a carefree air and likes to tease others, retracting my previous judgment, he's a great creditor. Once he needs you, he will completely support and protect you. A person like that will also become an outstanding king, right? Unconsciously, an immense feeling, a desire to try my best for his wish, to welcome a new self. I really do still long to become a witch who brings miracles. While Lam Lin was still lost in thought, Ka Lai, who was in front, suddenly turned his head back. He held out his hand to her, his voice gentle and pleasant. "Let's go home, my witch." Lam Lin's eyes widened as she looked at him. The blush on her face not yet faded. Faced with his sincerity, she also unconsciously reached out her hand. "Thank you." But the romantic atmosphere didn't even last 2 seconds before Lam Lin stepped on something slippery and then took a dramatic tumble. Kali's hand was left hanging in the air. He looked surprised at Lam Lin, who had fallen on her butt, and couldn't help his mischievous mouth from teasing her. "You don't have to perform such a grand ceremony to thank me. That's too scary." Lam Lin, like a cat whose tail has been stepped on, her shyness and embarrassment vanished, and she frantically yelled in explanation, "That's not it. What on earth made me fall?" Saying this, Lam Lin bent down and picked that thing up. It was something black and purple, with big round eyes looking at her in fear. Lam Lin looked at it, a little surprised. "What is this?" Back at the small wooden house, Lam Lin and Ka Lai were examining that thing, especially Ka Lai, whose smiling face looked no different from a demon's, staring so intently that the little black lump trembled. "This thing is probably the main culprit behind this incident, right?" Hearing that, Lam Lin was very surprised. "No way, this thing?" Ka Lai nonchalantly grabbed the head of the black charcoal lump. "That's right. After being separated from its host, it's only this big, yet it gave us quite a bit of trouble. Tell me, how should we deal with you now, you stretchy little thing?" As he spoke, he amusedly stretched the black charcoal lump, pulling it into different shapes. The black charcoal lump, pained by the pulling, opened its big, watery eyes. Seeing this, Lam Lin's heart immediately softened, and she began to feel sorry for the little lump. "Oh, it's so cute, this thing. Maybe we should—" Before she could finish, the demon Ka Lai cut her off. He held out his hand as if about to drop the black lump into a pot of boiling water, a savage smile on his face. "Let's cook it." Lam Lin hastily snatched the black lump just in the nick of time from the brink of hell, hugging it tightly and saying fiercely to Ka Lai, "Wait." Just then, the noisy culprit got his comeuppance. A book from behind hit the back of Ka Lai's head. Thwack! Hawaiian, filled with anger and a murderous aura, said, "Who allowed you to decide on the menu yourselves? And also, I just finished cleaning the kitchen with great difficulty. Do you know how hard the kitchen is to clean?" Being lectured, Ka Lai became a bit more obedient and well-behaved. After all, the bump on his head was quite large. Lam Lin, standing beside him, was also intimidated but still had the mood to blame him. "It's all your fault. I got scolded too." Hawaiian looked up some information, speaking sternly to them. "Really, something of unknown origin can't be eaten recklessly. This creature is called a Hassan. Its food is magic power. Its regeneration ability is almost infinite, so it was previously used on a large scale in anti-magic weapons. For witches, it's a huge nuisance." The two youngsters listened attentively, seeing Lam Lin carefully wrapping the black charcoal lump. Ka Lai, feeling jealous, and hearing Hawaiian say the thing was a nuisance, his eyebrow twitched. He snatched it back, placed it on a cutting board, held a knife in his other hand, and said in a demonic tone, "Then all the more reason to chop it up and eat it." Lam Lin, behind him, turned red with anger, shouting her opposition to Ka Lai's actions. "No." Hawaiian continued, "No, but on the contrary, they can also be controlled to become useful for oneself, because it can maintain the stability of the host's powerful magic power by eating it. It can also change its form at will, and there are records of witches using Hassan to control their magic power." Ka Lai, while fending off Lam Lin from snatching back the black charcoal lump, listened nonchalantly. "It eats magic power? If so?" At this point, he suddenly grabbed Lam Lin's outstretched arm, placed the black charcoal lump on her head, and then seriously molded it. After a moment, Ka Lai spoke. "For you, it can help control your magic power, right?" Lam Lin was stunned, then glanced at the witch hat he had just shaped for her. "Huh." Ka Lai smiled with satisfaction, then suddenly reached out and touched a strand of Lam Lin's hair. He raised an eyebrow. "What do you think? It's beautiful, right? Next, we can see how effective it is." As soon as he finished speaking, Ka Lai snatched off the hairpin. Lam Lin reflexively cried out, "My hairpin! No, I haven't practiced to the point where I can take off the hairpin yet." Thinking this, Lam Lin anxiously squeezed her eyes shut, her heart trembling slightly. At the same time, her magic power also escaped. But Lam Lin waited for a while. It didn't shoot around wildly or hurt anyone. Lam Lin still kept her eyes tightly shut. She was a little suspicious. Strange. The feeling of magic power in my body is not like before. Could it really be? Thinking this, Lam Lin curiously peeked with one eye. As soon as she saw the magic power flying around her so miraculously, she was utterly amazed. She could even create a small flame. Lam Lin's eyes shone brightly. Ka Lai, do you see this? I really succeeded." While showing off, Lam Lin frantically grabbed Ka Lai's collar and shook him. He replied nonchalantly, I see it, I see it. Lam Lin immediately said, if it works, we can keep it, right? Kalai shamelessly changed his tune. Keep it? No way. Shouldn't we send it to a workshop to be made into a magic tool? I know someone with very good skills. A creature that has caused such trouble. Who knows if it will pose another danger? The little black hat on Lam Lin's head swayed, crying its eyes out pitifully. Lam Lin hesitated. She put her hand on it, as if to comfort it, protesting in a small voice, but Kalai suddenly became serious. No means no. Seeing the situation was not good, Lam Lin quickly switched to negotiating. She clasped her hands in front of her, her eyes shining, along with the hat putting on a cute act, and said sincerely, but didn't we say it before? You would grant one of my requests. Kalai suddenly fell silent, the corners of his lips drooping. He really didn't know what to do with her and that little hat. Seeing that he didn't seem to be resisting as much as before, Lam Lin pressed her advantage, pleading coquettishly, please, please. Kalai indifferently avoided her gaze. Lam Lin didn't give up and continued, please, please. Kalai looked away again, but his heart was wavering, and his face gradually turned red. Finally, Lam Lin maximized her talent for acting cute, like a broken record, both enthusiastic and persistent. Please, please, please. Kalai was defeated. He scratched his neck, turning away shyly, so Lam Lin wouldn't see his blushing face and ears. After a moment, after catching his breath a little, Kalai turned back to ask Hawaiian's opinion. Hey, can we keep it? Lam Lin, having achieved her goal, was overjoyed, extremely pleased, and cheered silently in her heart. Hawaiian said nonchalantly, I knew you'd say that. Even if I don't agree, you two will still keep it, right? As soon as he finished speaking, Lam Lin turned to enthusiastically high-five Kalai, both saying in unison, agreed. Suddenly, at that moment, a knock was heard at the nearby door. Knock, knock, knock. Hawaiian quickly went to open the door. Seeing the person in front of him, he was a little surprised. Elder, why are you all here? The elder smiled kindly. We are very grateful for your help with our merchant caravan this time. This is a small token of our gratitude. Hawaiian accepted the gift. On this side, Kalai's gaze was still on Lam Lin, with a hint of laziness in his eyes. Lam Lin was still immersed in the joy of having a pet, holding the black charcoal lump, grinning from ear to ear. So cute. I want a pet for a long time. Then I'll call you Then, okay? With that, Lam Lin puckered her lips towards Then, wanting to kiss it. Then also liked her very much and mimicked her, puckering its lips to receive the kiss. But when they were just a few centimeters away from kissing, Then suddenly disappeared from Lam Lin's palm. A jealous Kalai spun it around in the air, his tone indifferent. Let's call it Hack Dan. Look how black it is. Lam Lin, having been interrupted, angrily grabbed Kalai's collar, her gentle expression from before gone, replaced by a fierce and hot-tempered one. Stop it. Don't bully it. While the two were still fooling around, on this side, Hawaiian's surprised voice suddenly rang out. What did you say? The elder nodded. You heard right. This is the last time 3-Day City will hold the 3-day festival. Actually, we decided half a year ago, after this 3-day festival, the people will abandon this land and migrate to the new city. Hawaiian and Kalai frowned upon hearing this, their faces showing tension, while Lam Lin was very surprised by this decision. The elder continued, Your Highness must have also heard that 3-Day City is a city on the surface created by magic. Because of the protection of magic, even though it is far from the human world, it could maintain its prosperity and self-sufficiency. But back then, when humans and witches started the war because it hid witches 3-day, city was massacred. After the magic gradually disappeared, the city's resources also dwindled day by day. Perhaps this land can hardly prosper away from magic, but I hope the people of the city can have a better life. After hearing the elder's words, Lam Lin's mood was gloomy. She couldn't concentrate on cleaning. The territory for the royal succession contest is about to disappear. I wonder what Kalai is thinking. Hawaiian, as if he had a mind-reading ability, was behind her. He saw what Lam Lin was thinking, and while washing the dishes, he replied nonchalantly, I think this is a good thing. Lam Lin turned her head in surprise. Hawaiian continued. The rule of His Majesty the King's game is to decide the heir to the throne through the management performance of the 3 princes' territories, but Kalai was targeted by his 2 older brothers and assigned to this godforsaken place. If we can use this unexpected event to request a new territory, it will only be beneficial and not harmful to our intended goal. Our goal is to achieve victory a year from now. isn't it? Just then, Kalai happened to walk by, and he also heard everything Hawaiian said, calmly replying, "You're not wrong." Hearing this, Lam Lin's heart leaped, and she questioned him, "Kalai, do you want to abandon 3-Day City?" Although what Hawaiian said makes a lot of sense, but Lam Lin took a step to follow Kalai. But for a long time, she couldn't say it. It's so ridiculous. The good points of 3-Day City are right on the tip of my tongue, but it feels like something is stuck in my throat. Lam Lin stood with her eyes downcast in front of the bathroom door. Kalai is someone who knows very well what he wants. And inside, Kalai had already started taking off his outer shirt. Seeing the little girl showing no signs of moving, along with her troubled expression, he couldn't help but speak up. "Hey!" Hearing his call, Lam Lin raised her clear eyes to look at Kalai. Kalai was also looking at her nonchalantly, shirtless, his muscles clearly visible. The act of him holding the waistband of his pants, combined with his indifferent expression and cool voice, really made one want to jump in and strip. "Oh wait, beat him to death. How long are you going to stand there watching? I'm about to take off my pants." Lam Lin was hit by this suggestive scene. So flustered she almost threw up her dinner and pounced on a durian. Eek. Lam Lin's limbs were clumsy. Suddenly the person in front of her leaned down close to her, his tone teasing, stirring one's heart. "Or do you want to bathe with me? Lin, you're such a pervert." Lam Lin was rendered speechless, her mouth open but unable to speak, her small face flushed red with embarrassment. Immediately after, unable to bear it any longer, she shot straight out, at the same time helping Kalai by slamming the door shut. "I'm not." Later, Lam Lin returned to her room. She had been lying down for a long time, but still couldn't fall asleep. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. "Do I really have to watch this city disappear?" She thought for a while, but still had no answer. Lam Lin resolutely got up from bed and went to the window. She saw the merchants who were still busy down below at this hour. The cattail honeydew to restore the magic circle also evaporated along with the rampaging magic back then. To convince Kalai, I at least have to prove my abilities to him. At least there's some hope. But this looks very difficult. Very quickly, Lam Lin sat down at her desk and began to seriously study the pile of books she hadn't touched yesterday. After an hour passed, in the quiet night, Lam Lin suddenly shouted wildly, I found a suitable spell. Maybe this time I can help this city continue to survive. Then let's go." And so, just as the sky began to brighten, Lam Lin and then went out with a strong hope. As the sky grew brighter, Kalai and Hawaii and also had to go out to visit around the city. Kalai yawned tiredly, looking extremely listless. It wasn't until dusk began to fall, while the two were discussing the plan, that Hawaiian said doubtfully, "Strange, I remember this place used to be a patch of barren land." Kalai, standing beside him, was suddenly attracted by something. He tilted his head to take a look, and then was momentarily astonished. In front of him was an incredibly beautiful field of pink flowers. The evening light, shining on each flower, further highlighted the slender figure standing within it. Lam Lin stood there, seriously chanting a spell while trying to create magic power. "I like this city. Mama said that magic is the embodiment of miracles." Once a year, the 3-day festival arrives again. But if the prince cannot protect the miracle, then let the witch handle it. I will absolutely not give up. In the evening, at the center of 3-Day City, where the festival usually takes place, people from every household poured onto the main street, warm lights shining all around. From the loudspeaker, the elder's steady voice rang out. "This land of miracles has not easily awaited the arrival of its prince. Since it was created by a witch, 167 years have passed. On this festival day, 3-Day City will welcome its end. This small city has suffered enough from the lack of resources. It is time to leave. We can't give up." Kalai, who knows when he ran onto the stage, his expression as lazy as ever, not only snatched the microphone from the elder, but also cut him off. Lam Lin, listening from below, let out a surprised "huh?" Kalai continued speaking from above, the young man's tone full of determination. "Strange, if you all can't bear to leave on one hand, yet remain so impulsive without changing a bit, then wouldn't it be better not to give up while you still have regrets? I want to become the heir to the throne, so I will raise 3-Day City from a negative score to 60 points, or even higher. Although it may sound like boasting, This is a path I absolutely must walk well, so please believe in us one more time. As soon as he finished speaking, the people below began to stir. They stared in amazement at the drops of magic power dancing on the brick ground. This is the path of light spell. Weren't we told that the cattail honey needed to restore the magic circle had an issue, so this performance had to be canceled? It's so beautiful. The entire road was flooded with the light of magic power. Lam Fu looked up in astonishment at the flow of magic around him. Is this really magic, or is it following the flow of magic? Everyone's eyes gradually focused on one spot. Lam Lin was sitting on the brick ground, intently channeling magic power into the road. After a moment, Lam Lin wiped away her sweat and breathed a sigh of relief. It seems the spell was successful. I was so nervous I broke out in a sweat. Lam Lin quickly stood up, dusting off her dress, still thinking. That's right, what did Kalai just say? But as soon as she stood up straight, Lam Lin was swarmed by a crowd that appeared out of nowhere. Their eyes sparkled as they looked at her with special admiration. It's the red-haired witch. Red hair. It's been so long since we've seen one. Beautiful sister, thank you. Miss Witch, you're amazing. To be able to restore the magic circle without cattail honey. Lam Lin was a little surprised, but she quickly and skillfully slipped into the role of a talented yet humble celebrity. She shyly scratched her head. It's nothing. I just did what I had to do. She said that, but in her heart, she was so happy she could have grown wings and flown to the sky. Darn it, the feeling of being the center of everyone's attention is amazing. The crowd grew more boisterous, surrounding Lam Lin, and they began to make all sorts of requests. You're so good. Can you use more magic? Miss Witch, can you heal my back? Miju, Miju. Listen to me, beautiful Miss Witch. Do you still remember me? Lady Witch, Miss Witch. Lam Lin's ears were filled with voices. She started to find it hard to breathe, and her head began to ache. Lam Lin was helpless. Wait a moment. Immediately after, Lam Lin held her hat tightly and fled in a flash. Being too welcomed isn't always a good thing. Short-legged Lam Lin quickly found a hiding spot for herself. She peeked her head out slightly to observe the situation. The crowd had dispersed, but they hadn't given up on finding her. Hey, where did she go, Lady Witch? At the peak of her tension, a familiar voice suddenly sounded from behind. It seems being a celebrity is also a kind of burden for you. Kali's sudden appearance made all the hairs on Lam Lin's body stand on end. She turned around and glared fiercely at him. When did you get here? Kali didn't answer. He changed the subject. That's right. Hawaiian and I have finished the construction plan that starts tomorrow, and of course your part can't be missing. Lam Lin sighed. A pile of troublesome matters. Suddenly, at that moment, Kali, as if boneless, lunged forward and hugged Lam Lin from behind. His hands draped over her shoulders, his fingers disdainfully poking and prodding at her. His posture was somewhat possessive, his indifferent voice sounding from above her head. So, tonight, do you want to go for a little walk together? Later, at a stall, Lam Lin was playing with a few tiny creatures. She offered them a small jar, exclaiming happily, "This creature is so adorable. No matter how many times I see it, I still feel that everything in this world is so magical. This must be a creature like a little helper pixie, right?" While she was engrossed in observing, the sound of a child sobbing suddenly came from behind. Sobi, Sobi. A little boy was hugging a doll, crying his heart out. The mother beside him bent down slightly to comfort her son. "Don't cry anymore. How about Mama buys you a new one?" Hearing this, the boy hugged the doll even tighter, murmuring in a small voice, "I only want Yon-Yo." At that moment, Lam Lin suddenly reached out her hand and took hold of the doll's small, broken arm. Immediately after, it reattached, completely restored to normal. Lam Lin squatted in front of the little boy and said with a smile, "Feeling sad for someone you love is a very good thing. You must remember that feeling clearly, so that even without magic, you can still protect it well. Crying can't solve everything." The little boy finally stopped crying and responded to Lam Lin with a smile, his tone now more cheerful. "Thank you, sister." Lam Fu, who witnessed this scene from behind, exclaimed in admiration, "We think it's magical that a witch can use magic so directly." Afterwards, Lam Fu brought Lam Lin a bag full of food and said excitedly, "Tada, this is your food combo. Don't tell anyone I added extra for you." Lam Lin showed a greedy expression as she reached out to take it. "Thank you." After that, the two of them left. Lam Lin smiling as she said goodbye to Lam Fu. Lam Fu also waved goodbye to her enthusiastically. Meanwhile, Ka Lai, who had been ignored until now, was a little unhappy and started to tease her. I didn't expect that the Lam Lin who was crying yesterday because her magic was scattered can now use magic to help little children. As he spoke, he greedily munched on her chicken leg. Lam Lin, who was happy a second ago, now glared rudely at Ka Lai, like a small cat protecting its food. Don't eat mine. Go buy your own. But after hearing Ka Li's words, she immediately became prideful. She said arrogantly, "Of course, as long as it's something I want to do, nothing can stop me." Ka Li nodded beside her, taking advantage of her happy mood to snatch another chicken leg. After a moment, he opened his mouth. "So nothing can stop you, huh? Then do you want to compete in a game? The loser has to buy the winner a gift with the allowance Hawaii and just gave us." Lam Lin smirked, accepting the challenge. "Fine, but don't cry when you lose." A while later, after the first game ended, time's up. They were playing a bean-picking game, and Lam Lin had only picked a few, thinking she had probably won. Who would have thought that when she turned to look, Ka Li's plate of beans was piled sky high, which horrified her. And just like that, the first round, first blood. Then came the second round with a game of getting a ball to a target, and with just a few basic moves, Ka Li won again, leaving Lam Lin to stare wide-eyed once more. Hey, so that's a double kill. A while later, it was the final round. This was an archery game that Lam Lin had never tried before. Her hand pulling the bow was trembling, but for the pride of great witch, Lam Lin was determined not to be humiliated like this again. This time, I absolutely cannot lose to him, but it's so hard to control. Not only did Lam Lin encourage herself, but she was also desperate enough to plot to distract her opponent. If I can't win, neither can he. Thinking this, she said some provocative words. Ka Li, didn't you say before that you would give up on 3-Day City? Why the change of heart? Ka Li, on his side, was still focused on adjusting his bow and replied nonchalantly, "I never said that." Lam Lin jumped up, exposing him. "You're lying. You even agreed with Hawaii." And Ka Li glanced at Lam Lin, then suddenly walked over, his large hand covering the back of her hand, his whole body circling around Lam Lin, as if to embrace her completely from behind. His eyes looked straight ahead. He was not wrong. Our goal is to achieve the final victory. So compare to my two brothers raising an elite city from 85 points to 90 points. Raising 3-Day City from a negative score to 60 points is naturally more convincing. After speaking, he released his right hand. The arrow flew swiftly, hitting the bullseye in an instant. Seeing this, Lam Lin cheered happily. Look, it hit the bullseye. Didn't expect to turn a blunder into a success, right? This time, the winner is definitely me. Lam Lin was extremely smug, but just as she turned to gloat at Ka Li, she saw him standing stock still, hugging a teddy bear. At the same time, a voice from a small speaker announced, "Congratulations, you have won our shop's special prize." Seeing Ka Li's indifferent face, Lam Lin felt like she was going crazy. "You cheated, didn't you?" In the end, she still had to submit. A while later, a dejected Lam Lin handed Ka Li a pair of glasses. "Here, for you. Darn it, it was so hard to get a little allowance." Ka Li was very pleased. He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, flight goggles?" Lam Lin replied, "My allowance could only afford this." Ka Li reached out and took them. Then he looked towards Lam Lin and started teasing her. I can see you naked." Lam Lin was driven mad with anger. She repeatedly threw steel punches at Ka Li's abs to vent. "You think I'm stupid? I know there's no see-through magic on the goggles." Ka Li endured it, only crying out a few times. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts so much." After venting her anger, Lam Lin became dejected again. "Darn it, I was originally going to use that money to buy something else." Hearing this, Ka Li glanced over and replied nonchalantly, "Then I'll also give you a gift in return." Lam Lin was a little surprised, her eyes wide. What return gift? Suddenly, at that moment, Ka Li bent down and without a word, gently kissed her on the lips. Lam Lin froze, and before she could react, Ka Li had already pulled away. He spoke, "This is your return gift. Thank you for your efforts to save this land." After saying that, the corners of his lips pulled up into a roguish smile. Lam Lin was petrified on the spot. Ka Li stared at her, then as naturally as anything, kissed her on the forehead again. Lam Lin's switch was flipped, and she immediately used both hands to cover the spot Ka-Lai had kissed. Her face flushed, and she questioned him in a panic. What are you doing? You perverted deadfish eyes. You stop right there. Darn it. As she spoke, Lam Lin furiously chased after him, wanting to beat him to death. Long-legged Ka-Lai ran off, even sticking his tongue out to tease her, truly asking for a beating. After chasing each other in circles for a while, suddenly, booming sounds erupted from the sky. Both of them were attracted by these lively sounds and immediately stopped their chase, looking up at the sky together. Fireworks bloomed brilliantly, lighting up the entire sky. Lam Lin's eyes widened, and she said excitedly, "It's fireworks." Ka-Lai glanced at her from the side. It seems this doesn't suit her. Why can't I find a suitable gift for her? While his thoughts were wandering, a girl came over and smilingly pulled Lam Lin's hand to dance with her. Lam Lin was a little surprised, then also broke into a smile. Ka-Lai stood to the side, lost in her smile, his heart turning sweet, and the corners of his lips curved up unconsciously. Not long after, the whole of 3-Day City was enveloped in a warm light, surrounded by lively festival music. The people rushed outside to dance and play together. Sometime later, Lam Lin sent a letter to her mother. "Mama, it's been a long time since I received your letter. Are you doing well now? Are you still watching over me silently like before? We are currently working hard to revive 3-Day City. The people here are very good. They are all very tolerant of a half-baked witch like me. It's just that Mama's creditor, Ka-Lai, always assigns tasks that seem impossible to complete, forcing me to constantly create new kinds of magic. Being able to send a letter to you without knowing your magic mail address is also because I worked as a free servant for the magic communications man for 2 months and finally managed to secretly learn it. And my companion, Hawaii, and looks like a family homemaker, but is actually the head knight of the royal family. The first time I saw him fight with a practice sword, I was so shocked I even misread a spell. Although daily life is not as carefree as before, living and having fun with them every day, I've discovered that life isn't so bad. But that doesn't mean I want to pay off your debt for you. Unknowingly, spring has come again. If we were still in the previous world, we would probably be going to the mountain behind our house to see the red leaf trees. Although I complained a lot at the beginning, thank you for bringing me to this world. At the same time, up ahead, Ka-Lai and Hawaii had come to get Lam Lin. He called her, "Lam Lin, let's go." Lam Lin turned her head and replied loudly, "I'm coming." With that, she turned back to fold the letter, then used a little magic to turn it into a magic letter, blowing it gently into the wind. Once that was done, Lam Lin quickly ran toward Ka-Lai. Returning with them, Ka-Lai looked at the cheerful little girl in front of him, his face in a gentle smile. I will always remember, miracles are not something you wait for to appear, but something you create yourself. I will become an even more powerful witch than Mama. So, please continue to wait for our story, Lam Lin.